December 7th, 2023 regular session of the Clarksville City Council is now called to order. Minister Mary Franklin with New Jerusalem Fivefold Ministries will serve as our chaplain of the day. Councilperson Zacharias will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll invite you to stand if you wish. And Minister Franklin, if you would approach the well, you're recognized.
Amen. Let us bow. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God, we just thank you for this day that you have once again blessed us with, God. God, we thank you for your grace and for your mercy, God, because you didn't have to allow us to see it, God. But thank you for allowing us and choosing us to see the close of this day. God, right now, in the name of Jesus, we just ask that you come in this meeting, God. Let your spirit reign, God. Right now, we ask that you bless the city council members, the men and the women that are serving this wonderful city of Clarksville. God, we thank you for everyone that is here under the sound of my voice, God. God, we thank you for any and all lawyers and government officials, God, even down to the President of the United States, God. God, we thank you for our mayor, God, Mayor Joe Pitts and the First Lady, Minister Pitts, right now in the name of Jesus. God, continue to cover them, God, as they cover the city of Clarksville, God. Continue to add to them years of life, God, strength, God, and wisdom, God, and peace, God. And God, continue to let them be the example that this community needs to see, God. For they realize, God, that it's not even about them, God, but it's about serving other people, God. God, once again, we just thank you for everyone that is gathered under my voice, God. God, for where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, God. And we are thankful, God, on tonight that, God, we have freedom in you. God, we thank you for your Son, Jesus, God, as we continue to enter into the Christmas season, God. For you're not just the reason for this season, God. You're the reason for every season, God. Again, continue to be in this meeting, God. Reign, God, with your spirit of holiness, God, and continue. Let them learn right now to know to not just be on one accord, God, but God, to be with one accord. God, we just thank you for your spirit, God, and for your mercy and your grace. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Every heart said, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members, please register your attendance. Madam Clerk, take the roll.
All members are present with the exception of Councilperson Shekinab, who's excused.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have a special recognition on our agenda. Councilperson Little, you're recognized in the well for special recognition. Should be a microphone there. Okay, great.
Mic check. 1 2 1 2. I just had to do it. With Clarksville and the way we're growing and the way our population is going, it's always great to know that we have youth that are just showing the best of what Clarksville is and what we have to offer. And with that, we have a softball team who won the World Series representing Clarksville, making us proud. And so we want to call them up with their parents. Not all the girls can be here, but a couple of them made it. Come on up. And so we just want to present you with our certificate of appreciation for what you guys do. You guys show sportsmanship. You guys show. Let me just read it from here, so I'm not ad-libbing or making up stuff. I did make this, so just so you know. This certificate is proudly presented to the Tennessee Synergy 2012 Girls Softball Team in recognition of your outstanding performance and achievements as champions of the 2023 Softball World Series. Your dedication, skill, and sportsmanship have brought honor to our community and the sport of softball. Get the mayor to come down and take a photo, possibly. Yes, Synergy, Tennessee Synergy 2012 Girls. Keep an eye out for them. Thank y'all.
Okay, next on our agenda is the Planning Commission Public Hearing Report. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 9 ordinances and 6 resolutions on our agenda tonight. Madam Clerk, will you please read the ordinances and resolutions?
Ordinance 41, 2023-24, first reading, zoning case number 57-2023, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Mary Lou Persinger, Burt Singletary agent, for zone change on property located on a tract of land located at the northeast corner of Tinytown Road and Allen Road, intersection from AG Agricultural District to R2A Single Family Residential District and C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District and C2 General Commercial District. Ordinance 42, 2023-24, first reading, zoning case number 58-2023, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of McGregor Holloman, John Mark Holloman agent, for zone change on a parcel of land located east of the Spring Street and Beaumont Street intersection from M1 Light Industrial District to CBD Central Business District. Ordinance 43, 2023-24, first reading, zoning case number 59-2023, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Jeffrey Robinson, Cody Dahl agent, for zone change on property located on a parcel of land fronting on the south frontage of Hickory Heights, 310 plus or minus feet west of the Hickory Heights and Walnut Drive intersection from AG Agricultural and R2 Single Family Residential District to R2A Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 44, 2023-24, first reading, zoning case number 60-2023, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn for zone change on a lot fronting on the west frontage of 7 Mile Ferry Road North, 250 plus or minus feet north of the 7 Mile Ferry Road North and Old 7 Mile Ferry Road intersection from R1 Single Family Residential District to R6 Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 45, 2023-24, first reading, zoning case number 61-2023, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Eubank LLC, Johnny Piper agent, for zone change on property located on a tract of land fronting on the south frontage of Eubank Drive, 700 plus or minus feet west of the Eubank Drive and Innovation Way intersection from N2 General Industrial District to M1 Light Industrial District. Ordinance 46, 2023-24, first reading, zoning case number 62-2023, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Christopher E. Doherty for zone change on 2 parcels of land fronting on the north frontage of Pollard Road, northwest of the Pollard Road and Quentin Drive intersection from R1 Single Family Residential District and R3 Three Family Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Ordinance 47, 2023-24, first reading, zoning case number 63-2023, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Robert Holt, Bill Mace agent, for zone change on property located on a tract of land fronting on the north frontage of McClarty Road, 875 plus or minus feet east of the McClarty Road and Witt Lane intersection from AG Agricultural District to R2 Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 48, 2023-24, first reading, zoning case number 64-2023, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Robert Wheeler, Walter Montero, and Lisa Andrews, Bill Mace agent, for zone change on property located on a parcel of land with frontage on the south frontage of Madison Street, 675 plus or minus feet of the Madison Street and Crossland Avenue intersection from R1 Single Family Residential District and O1 Office District to C2 General Commercial District. Ordinance 49, 2023-24, first reading, zoning case number 65, 2023, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of J&N Enterprises for zone change on property located on a portion of the tract of land located north of Tinytown Road, east of Andersonville Drive, and west of Egret Drive and Sandpiper Drive from R2 Single Family Residential District and R2D Two Family Residential District to C2 General Commercial District and C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. Resolution 15, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a plan of service for territory north of Garrettsburg Road and Clyde Court. Resolution 16, 2023-24, a resolution annexing territory north of Garrettsburg Road and Clyde Court. Resolution 17, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed territory north of and west of Shaw Drive. Resolution 18, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed territory north of Britton Springs Road and east of K Road. Resolution 19, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed territory south of Highway 12 between Shelley Drive and Acorn Drive. And Resolution 20, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed territory north of Highway 12 between Fawn Drive and east of Old Ashland City Road.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Madam Clerk. Mayor, I move we go into public hearing.
Motion been made and properly seconded to revert to public hearing without objection. We are now in public hearing. First item in our public hearing is ordinance 41, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville. Application of Mary Lou Persinger, Burt Singletary agent. Is there anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 41? If you'll give us your name, you have 5 minutes.
Burt Singletary, 27 Centerport Drive. I'm just here to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, you heard it from Mr. Singletary. Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Singletary, I do have a question about the traffic assessment that was submitted with this application. Can you speak to that, or should I direct that question to somebody else?
You probably should direct that to
Okay.
engineering.
All right.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Singletary? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 41? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 41? Next item on our Planning Commission report, or public hearing, I should say, ordinance 42, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of McGregor Holloman. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 42? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 42? Next item on our public hearing is ordinance 43, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Jeffrey Robinson. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 43? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 43? Next item is ordinance 44, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 44? If you would, give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Hunter Wynn, I reside at 540 Georgetown, but I'm here to answer any questions or concerns. I think there's maybe a few concerns about the road width. The road width, Mr. Holman, is 23 foot wide. Evanston Ferry's 20 foot wide, it's R6. Line Street's 18 foot wide, Wall Street's 17 foot wide. That Charleston Cove is 23 foot wide, and they're new roads.
Okay, Councilperson Allen, you recognize your name was called.
It is 22 feet wide in front of the proposed rezone, but further up the road, it does narrow down to 18 feet.
Which way?
Going north.
towards Greenwood.
Towards Greenwood, yeah.
Yeah, it was, I measured, it's 22 foot in front of the R6s. They're building right in front of the cemetery.
Yeah,
James Black's building them.
my concern is I just know how when one rezone happens, other rezones happen,
Yes, sir.
you know, and so
Yeah, but
I am going to be
there's
voting
some right
down.
there. Yeah,
So, thank you.
thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
I'm also concerned, just to be frank, that this is not an R6 infill area, and we're putting R6 out there. And we're, I'm not sure that that really meets that area and the design of that area.
There's some just right up the road on 7 Mile Ferry and Edmondson Ferry. And it's 2.6 miles from there to downtown courthouse. And if you go to Charleston Cove, it's 2.9 miles. If I know you were talking about the infill. I mean, they got 80 R6 lots. I'm just looking to get one more. 2 lots.
So
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Sir, I know you want to build homes, single-family homes, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How wide are they gonna be? Because I just don't wanna see the
25 to 28 foot.
20 feet. Are those, the small size homes? How many bedrooms?
It'd be 3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the largest bedroom size? The reason I'm asking because I'm not sure if that's the type of house, would fit in that area.
I mean, there's some just right up the road.
You
I
keep
mean, a
saying right
couple
up the
hundred feet.
I understand you keep saying right up the road, but what I saw is down the road. And those houses are
Towards
larger down
Greenwood
the road.
Cemetery.
Oh, you're talking about them type of small homes.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm.
And the sidewalks, I know you're concerned about them taking up the road some. That'll be on my property. That's not gonna affect the road width any.
Okay. So you're gonna take up some of the land that the houses are
Yes,
gonna
ma'am.
be
The
sitting on?
sidewalks will be off the road just a little bit. I mean, it's not gonna affect the road width.
How wide are the sidewalks gonna be?
4 foot.
Have you had
And-
any opposition?
And I mean,
opposition
go to
from
our-
the residents?
R6 is to get affordable houses. You got to start with affordable lots.
You don't have to have an R6 to start with affordable homes,
I
sir.
mean,
That's not correct.
R6 lots are a lot cheaper than any other lot. R2,
That's
R2A.
not true. That's not true. That's not true.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I know you just want, I know you want to make some money, but we also need to be fair to the people. You know, these houses you're building, they need to accommodate children as well, as where they can have places to play. If the lot is
They'll
so
have
small,
backyards.
yeah, if it's so small, they won't have enough to put a pool. They won't have enough
Not
to
everybody
put a
wants a
swing
pool.
set and other things.
Yes,
Is what I'm
ma'am.
trying to say. I know you're trying to stretch it, but we also need to understand that there are families who want some lots for their children, who don't want to be in somebody else's yard.
Yes, ma'am. And there's families that don't want big lots.
Well, there's some do that I know.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
But there's still plenty of big lots out there.
Yeah. We
But-
want some nice homes. We don't
Yes.
just want any kind of home just stacked up everywhere.
It'd be a whole lot nicer than what was there.
I don't know. I don't know if it is or not, but thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions for Mr. Nguyen? Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 44? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 44? If you would give us your name, and you have 5 minutes, please, sir.
Yes, sir. My name's Glenn Eaton. I live on 7 Mile Ferry, 1041 7 Mile Ferry. I've lived there for 42 years. And this isn't the first time this has come up over in that neighborhood. The rezone, Jill Whittinghill on the Richardson property across the street from me, 6 acres there. They wanted to put 22 houses in there at one time. It got turned down because of the road. Ralph Mackins, and that was in '06. Ralph Mackins in '09 tried to get it rezoned for his property down at the end of Old 7 Mile Ferry Road, and that got turned down because of roads too. And then he came back in 10 and won it because he resolved the issue with the road by bringing another drive in off the bypass, which Gino Grubb was totally against because it was coming off in front of the fire station over there, and he didn't want that either. But measuring from the intersection of Old 7 Mile Ferry Road to the other end of the homes on the 7 Mile Ferry is about 300 yards. There's also 3 cemeteries over there, which I cleared one of them, which was Old Golden Hill Cemetery back in '90, and took care of it for 13 years without no donations, no money or nothing. My family and I cleared that whole cemetery. You didn't even know it was there. Dr. Bert's grave is right up front. And but anyways, the homes are all single family homes on lots of 1/8 of an acre to 6 acres, and ours being 2 acres. The lot in question is 1/8 of an acre, and they want to turn it into 2 lots, which would make them 1/16 of an acre each. It's not very big, and then no one in our neighborhood wants these homes over there. They don't want these shotgun homes over there. This change will only be the beginning of more homes of this size in our neighborhood. The larger issue is the road. It always has been. The Uniform Fire Code and the DOT requires a road to be a minimum of 20 foot wide. And for parking, it needs to be 8 foot additional feet. Most of those houses in that congested area park in a road. And if you got a 2 or 3 bedroom home, if you're like me, I got 7 vehicles. Now, I've got 2 driveways, but the people living in these homes are not going to have 2 driveways. They're going to be, if they have company over, they're going to be parking in the street. And so the narrowest point of the road is 18.5 feet. So, and I walked it all out and measured it. If parking is required, there should be an 8 foot more parking area on the street. There's not an option for that in that area. Many times they're parking there anyways. There's been a big trailer parked out in that road today all day. A closed trailer. Many people use this as a shortcut to town from 41A bypass, and from the other direction, it's impossible to enter the bypass. As you come down that hill to the bypass, it's a blind intersection, the only one on the bypass, and that protruding curve in the road in front of the fire station, you can't see past it. The fire station started going down to Edmondson Ferry during the summer so they could get out and go back to their fire station. It's so hard to get out down there. And usually the pumping station at the end of the road, gravel washes out after every big rain, it washes out, and the gravel just scatters all across the intersection. You can't get out in the traffic. And so it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. The fire station uses our road all the time, going to 5 Points, Greenwood area, all in that area. So they use our road continually. We get 2 or 3 fire trucks pass us every day, plus buses, school buses too. And the road is so narrow that they got to slow down when they pass each other. And I've seen the fire trucks have to stop and lay on their horns to get somebody out of their way. And they had to come to a full stop in the road and lay on their air horn to get the road clear. I've seen that done a couple of times since I've lived there. And if the fire truck got stuck in any traffic there, which the bypass gets shut down regularly. And if you ever been down Gupton Lane, it's 12 foot wide. Old 7 Mile Ferry is only 18 foot wide. The last time a fire truck came in, they had to back down it. Okay, and then it's impossible for a fire truck to turn around. It was concern of time.
I'm sorry, sir, your 5 minutes are up. Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Very much.
thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 44? If you will, give us your name and you have 5 minutes.
My name is Jason Johnson. I live on Old 7 Mile Ferry Road, right on the corner where they intersect and stuff. I've lived there since I was 7 years old. I'm 44 now. There's been a couple issues. I mean, it's a real tight road. I see wrecks happen. My mom even wrecked there when I was a kid, right there on the corner. People come flying around there. Now that people use it as a cut road to come across, it's become more of a danger. I sit on my porch watching people, almost in accidents. I watched a man hit an old lady one time coming across there. And then he tried to move his car and blame it all on her, but luckily I was there. But the biggest thing is now, Ralph Mackins did a change over on Old Selma Ferry Road, and they put in apartments over there. And it's probably been the worst thing I've ever seen since I've lived there. I mean, people were speeding up and down the road. The other night, my daughter was out walking her little dog, and they come flying down the road, and she had to snatch her dog away out of the road because they just come flying down there in the middle of the night. There's no lights down through there. It's dark and dim going even back up 7 Mile Ferry Road. If you've ever been down that road, y'all know what I'm talking about at night. It's really dark through there. There's never been any lines on the road. It's always been, take a chance, almost look like a one-lane road, which the one I live on is a one-lane road. We all park on the road. So there's nowhere really, when fire trucks, like Mr. Eaton said, when they come down there, they got to back down there. It's looking like a little too much, and if you let one in, they're going to let them all in. That's how it goes. I'm worried to death. Mr. Mackins said he was going to give up the land to make our road bigger. Nothing's changed. I mean, we're in 23, and that was back in 2010 when he offered all this land, and nothing's changed. It's just gotten worse. We got tons of traffic on a little road that doesn't need it, and that's about all I got to say. So.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank y'all.
If you're in favor of ordinance 44 and wish to rebut anything that was said, you're welcome to come up. We have room for one speaker, and you have 3 minutes. Mr. Wynn?
Just want to say these houses, they will have their own driveways, so they won't be parking on the road. I mean, I can't say they won't park on the road, but they will have a driveway to put 2 cars in. So, I mean, that's the way that keep them off the road.
Councilperson Smith?
Oh, Mr. Wayne, I understand your, what you're trying to say, but these are not the type of houses that fit that area over there where Mr. Eaton lives and Mr. Johnson, and they talked about the fire trucks even having catastrophes over there. And so if it's too small for the fire truck to go through there, why would we make it worse? Why would we set this up for children to be ran over possibly? We need to widen the roads over there. And I know you want to build it. I'm not against you building, sir. Believe that. But I just want the roads to be widened. I want it to, we need to stop putting a Band-Aid on stuff, and we need to fix these things. And that's my job, is to enforce what is right. And I'm not against you trying to build, and I understand that. How many houses can you build without making it an R6?
You can do one.
Well, what's wrong with one until we get the roads fixed?
Well, I mean, Paradise Hill Road is 18 foot wide. It's a feeder to Charleston Cove. They're 80 or 6 lots. So, I mean, I don't, why did they widen Paradise?
I'm talking about your lot.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to hear about anybody else's. I want to know what's up with yours, sir.
Well,
Why you can't build one, a nice house, a little bit more land. It's not that much land over there as it is that you have for this house you're trying to build too. You hear Mr. Eden's complaint, and you hear Mr. Jason's complaint.
I understand that.
Yeah, okay. We want to work with you. We want you to build. But we want you to do what's,
Yes,
try
ma'am.
to help the people.
But I know this ain't got nothing. I'll just stop there.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir, so
All right.
much.
Thank you. Council, hang on, Mr. Wynn. Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
You said these are 3 bedrooms. How many baths are they? Two baths?
Yes, sir.
3 bedroom. And someone mentioned earlier something about a swimming pool. Is it typical to put a swimming pool in the back of a house? And what do you think that would raise the cost of a house if somebody? Of course, I guess they have above ground and in ground, but that would substantially raise the cost of a house, I suppose.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't want swimming pools and don't want a big yard to mow.
And in the back, how much room is there to play in the back, would you say? How many square feet would go in the backyard for?
I don't know.
For interplay, in case they did have children.
I mean, they'll have backyards. I don't know how big they are right offhand.
Okay. But they won't be, like a real small backyard.
No,
just
sir.
be kind of a normal sized backyard.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Councilperson Smith,
Thank you,
you're
sir.
recognized.
looking at the, yards over there over by the cemetery that you were talking about, Mr. Hunter, those yards are so small, a dog house can't get on them and play. And I went over there and I rode through there several times, the dog house, a nice dog house, or, I mean, you can't even play in that yard. So, I mean, let's be real.
A lot of people don't want dogs either.
Well,
Me either.
Well, I mean, but you got to think about those who may want some.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, we just can't say for one person.
Yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
I know what you're trying to do, but we're trying to make this a livable
Yes,
place
ma'am.
that's pleasant. You know, appreciate you. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Wynn? Thank you very much. If you are opposed to ordinance 44 and wish to offer what we call sir rebuttal, we have room for one person in 3 minutes. Mr. Eaton,
Thank you.
if you would give us your name again, and you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, Glenn Eaton. He mentioned about the sidewalks and improvement to the area, and I'll have to hand it to him. The house needed to be tore down, and I've told him that, and I appreciate that. I really do. The whole neighborhood appreciated it. But to add sidewalks in front of his house or houses, there's no place for them to go. I mean, you're gonna have a sidewalk probably not half the length of this room across the front of both houses. And the backyard is a drainage ditch. It is a drainage ditch that comes all the way down the back of those properties. And there just won't be no backyard. And I don't know who the improvement's for. It's not for us. It's not for the ones that live there. And it's already a congested area. And to add 2 or 3 bedroom homes in there, like I said, I know I got 6 or 7 registered vehicles. And I know if I lived in a house that had 3 bedrooms, somebody else is driving a car. So them houses won't have but a 1 parking spot in front of them. And where's the other car going to park? In the street. So, and I've known, I knew a guy down that used to live in that house, and he had a dump truck, and it sat on the side of the road right there for years. And nobody ever said anything, never got a ticket or nothing. But it's just the way it's just a bad situation there. It's just too congested. There's not room for anything in there. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Hang on, we got questions. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized for comment or question.
Yes, I would just like to say that I do like the sidewalk because piece by piece, that's how we feel. So
I understand.
I understand what you said, but we have to start
But
somewhere.
there's no other place for a sidewalk to go.
But
So
there's
if
a
you
lot
built-
of empty R1 land there.
I don't know about that, but there's no place for a sidewalk to extend to, is what I'm saying. And when it gets up to Jamie there, he's got that 6 acres. That's nothing but a drainage ditch. Nothing but a drainage ditch, and there's no place to put a sidewalk. Unless the city's willing to go in there and spend $25 million on a new road. It might be the answer. Then you can put your sidewalks in and add another 10 million to it. I don't know. But I appreciate your time, to every one of you. Any other questions?
Any other questions for Mr. Eaton? That's my line.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. We're next ready for item E, or ordinance 45, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville. Application of Eubank LLC. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 45? Oh, okay. Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 45? Next item on our public hearing list is ordinance 46, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville. Application of Christopher E. Doherty. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 46? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 46? If you would, give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
My name is Michael Dillon. I own the property directly across the street from the property in question. I bought that house 33 years ago. It was a single family R1, R2 neighborhood. It's always been that way. This is a request to go to R4. There is no R4 property on the entire length of Pollard Road. The Regional Planning Commission, in their approval of this, says it's in conformity with stuff up and down the street. However, it doesn't conform with that because there is no R4 up and down Pollard Road. Now, there is a lot of R4 property between Providence Boulevard and Pine Mountain Road along Peachers Mill. I would say too much just for that because the road and traffic conditions, I don't think that's able to handle that. However, if this goes forward and this individual can put apartments there, it's my understanding R4 would allow him to put some 40 plus units on that property. It's 2.9 acres plus or minus, and almost half of it is already occupied by a structure they have there. So I don't know how that's going to work, but what I do know is that the front of my house faces the front of their house, and then there's a Pollard Road in between. I have 2 bedrooms, one of them the master bedroom, and if the only way they're going to get in and out of there is with a driveway, people coming in and out at night, shining lights through my bedroom windows. So this is going to adversely affect not just my lifestyle and sleep, but my property value, and that's my opinion. Somebody could argue otherwise. However, this is a single residence neighborhood, and if I ever wanted to sell my house, well, that would eliminate a lot of people that don't want to live across the street from an apartment. Okay, and so look at my time. I want to read from the zoning code here. It's the definition or the description of R4 multiple family. This is 3.3.10. R4 multiple family residential district is intended to promote and encourage establishment and maintenance of a suitable environment for urban residences in areas which by location and character are appropriate for occupancy by high density multiple family dwellings and related facilities. And this district is intended to be utilized on higher classifications of streets, close to mass transit, retail services, and or employment opportunities. Clearly, that doesn't exist at that particular location. So, yeah, especially in light of the size of the lot there. And the only other thing I'd like to say, I wish that Section 5.2, which covers uses permitted on review. It has an interesting line in there. It says the proposed use is compatible with and will not adversely affect adjacent properties and other properties in the area. Well, who is to say if I'm adversely affected with that? I feel I'm adversely affected by what could happen there. So, and I'm not going to use up any more time. I've pretty much said what I need to say.
Thank you, Mr. Dillon. Councilperson Streetman, you have a question, comment from Mr. Dillon?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here to speak to us. I do want to clarify, I know that you stated there is no R4 on that road. There actually is. It's just one lot over is actually zoned as R4 right there on Pollard Road.
That is correct, and it is so small. If you look at it, and it's right on Peachers Mill Road, so I kind of consider that Peachers Mill Road almost. I'm not trying to be misleading.
Yeah, I understand, but there is a lot of R4 when we look at the map here. I mean, there's considerable amount of R4 there. And then just for your knowledge, no, you'd said 40 something, and it could still be, but I just wanted to give you this information that they're estimating as far as historical estimates with the Regional Planning Commission, you're looking at 35 potential units there.
Still too much.
I understand. I just wanted you to know that for you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
I just want to ask you a question. So you live in the right next door to the property or across the street?
Directly across the street.
Directly across the street, not in the corner lot, but the one right beside it.
The one right beside it. Yes,
Okay.
338.
So from your house, all the R4 would be towards Peacher Mill, right?
From my house, I'm not directly in front of the first structure that was the first Doherty house there.
Right.
So I'm my driveway is along the easement.
Right. No,
Where they can't build. And so essentially, coming in and out of there is right facing my front
Right.
yard.
My question is from your house, all the R4 is towards Peacher's Mill. All the ones where there's apartments, the R4 that they're trying to, so they're trying to put R4 across the street from your house, right? But all the R4 in the area is outside of Peacher's Mill.
Right, with
Outside
the
towards Peacher's
exception
Mill.
of what
That's still on Peacher's Mill.
right
Correct.
on the corner. It's technically Peacher's Mill, but it's on, or no, technically it's Pollard, but it adjoins.
But from there all the way back into that neighborhood, there is no R4.
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Dillon? Thank you, sir.
Thank
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 46? Mr. Wood, give us your name, and you have 5. You have,
A little more time before I start my time. First of all, let me explain something. First of all,
You're
I
trying to
like
take my
talk
job.
about
Wait a
what is R4. Technically
give,
speaking,
first,
that
give
lot
us,
was
first
part.
give us your name.
Okay, my name is Anthony R. Wood.
Thank you. Now, you're
That
recognized.
is Miss Pittskin.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the land we were talking about, the R4 land on the corner, that land was part of the land that originally was part of the property that I owned, I owned, I still own. But at one time, the property was zoned R3. And when it was subdivided, that lot was taken off the property where the house was at. So when the house was, I questioned the zoning, planning commission, when that lot was subdivided from the property originally that it was part of R3, that lot should have been rezoned totally. But the planning commission said that's not true. But they don't know what they're talking about. See, what they are a planning commission, but I'm a boy genius. You know that, Judge, Mr. Pitts.
I sure do.
Without a doubt.
All right.
But okay, let's get to the issue. Okay, I've lived out on this house, out in this area for 35 years. The roads are terrible. But we did get, I gotta give you commitment to you, sir. They did pave them. They did put new stripes. But for 35 years, they've not been widened. Traffic is terrible. 35 years ago, my kids and Mr. Doherty here, he's not here tonight, used to play in the front yard. Now we got a tree that's about 15 foot from the road. My grandkids, I was not allowed to go out past them trees because cars all the time run off the road and my mailbox is down. Police come in the middle of the night a couple times, wake me up, pulling cars out of the driveway. What I'm trying to emphasize to y'all, where they're putting this, talking about changing this property to, is right on the crest of a little hill there, coming out of a curve. There's no way you can see there. What you're doing, you're endangering people's lives. I'm glad to meet I've never met Miss Wanda Smith. But I'm glad you're the type of person that cares for individual life and people and what stands there before. I've been there 35 years. Mr. Doherty, the gentleman that's owned this land, just died not even quite a year ago. He would not have never stood for this. Me and him have an agreement. My land is zoned for apartments. I live right next door to his land. Our lands go side by side. We always agreed we'd never build nothing like that on our lands. We respected each other. The generation has changed. Our people have changed. I've not changed. I'm not going to build no apartments on my land. Now the land that was, like I said, the lot on the corner is wrong. I want to take that to court and get that changed. Watch me. Because it's not right. That land should have never been done R4 without going through the proper channels. But through our judicial, our planning commission done it, so we'll let that go. But I asked you people here, I said people. I don't know a lot of you. You're still my neighbors. I don't know you. I know this gentleman here for many years. And some of these other people, I know his lady's husband. He's a police officer, been in my place many times. I'm on the vacation motel, so I deal with people every day. And I love people. I love people. But I love safety more than I do anything. That road is a dangerous hazard. If you'll go out there and make it 3-lane highway, I think we'd be all right with something like that. But the gentleman's wanting to do it. He said yesterday at a meeting, I live in Stewart County. I just come up here to do this. He wanted to change his house yesterday to make it a shop to a house. We were there in a meeting. Our former mayor, Mr. Don Trotter, told him, said, if that's all you want to do, sir, I'll get it done today. If you'll agree that you're not doing anything else
but changing your house over and you'll drop this thing, changing the land, because you say all you want to do is make a house out of a shop. So if you'll do that, I'll get the paperwork for you today. When you walk out of here, you'll have it. Mr. Chris Doherty walked out of there, he wouldn't agree to that. So see, he went there pretending to do something he didn't want to do in the first place. He's trying to change apartments, to make apartments, but he don't care about the safety of other people. There's wrecks on there every day, almost every day. I shouldn't say every day because that'd be misleading. But it's wrecks on that road. It's a dangerous environment for kids. Kids can't even walk on, they can't even ride their bicycles out there no more. Because people fly. I've called the city and asked for speed bumps to put out there. But it's costs too much money. But when it takes one of your kids' lives, it won't be too much money. Or one of my grandkids, it won't be too much money. Thank y'all for your time. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm not pleading, but I'm asking for you to feel how I feel about having something put next door to you. It's in my backyard. It's not in y'all's. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, we're now ready for ordinance 47. No, we're good. Thank you, sir. We're good. Thank you, Mr. Wood. All right, ordinance 47, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance map of the city of Clarksville. Application of Robert Holt. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 47? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 47? All right. We can have two speakers, 5 minutes each. Ladies first. Give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Kadina Bridge, and I actually own the family farm directly across the street from this proposed rezoning. Our biggest issue with this, I don't know how many of you are familiar with McClarty Road. It is directly, here is 101st, here's Peacher's Mill. McClarty Road is directly right beside 101st. As you are coming off, I've lived there over 30 years. Whenever I first got there, I was one of the first original 5 houses. You could go off of McClarty Road. Now, because of all the houses that have been built, the only way you can turn off McClarty Road is to turn right. So if you want to turn toward 101st, you have to now go Amanda Drive. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous. But there are times that I sit there 10, 15 minutes to try to get off Amanda Drive. I've seen fire trucks, police cars, school buses, same thing, cannot get off Amanda Drive because of the traffic coming from Peacher's Mill. I also work for the school system, and I will tell you, as all of you know, we're busting at the seams. We're talking 12 houses, but 12 houses, you're talking 2.5 children. So that's where overcrowding is already there. You're looking at more overcrowding because it's West Creek and it's Kenwood. Those schools are always overcrowded. And then with the, like I was saying, with the traffic, like you're talking, 12 houses. So with 12 houses, you're looking at single family, 24 cars, there's 24 extra cars. If it's just a husband and a wife. If you're looking at a child that is driving, you're now adding up to 36 cars, 48 cars, extra cars trying to get off of this road. If you also look, there is nowhere else to put another off-road to come out of this neighborhood. It is one way in, one way out. And that there's nowhere to put sidewalks for these children. If they are going to, with single family homes in that neighborhood, there is. But on McClarty, there's nowhere to put sidewalks. Another problem that I have with this is whenever you guys rezone WIT and they built WIT, all of that runoff water is now, it comes straight to my property. It erodes my property. I have 34 acres. It erodes it. There's nowhere else for it to go. Now you're looking at this and the way that they're going to have to build it, it's now going to also run off and it's going to erode my property. So all of my land is going to end up eroding away and I'm going to have to find a way to fix it. This is a personal concern of mine. My concern with this is I am agriculture. I have farm animals. We're looking at children. Children don't know how to read no trespassing zones. If they get on my property, they get injured by one of my animals, I'm going to get sued. I'm going to lose my property. And I can't accept that. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Bridge. Any questions for Ms. Bridge? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, hang on, Ms. Bridge. We have a question. Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Bridge, for coming up here talking. Just a couple quick questions. Whenever you do get in that area, even when it is clear, are you still fearful of traffic coming around the corner at some significant speed?
I am. I live right there. I am the only house on that road with a guardrail. This proposed land, as you are coming on McCarty Road, you are coming down a hill. And I think because my husband has emailed all of you, I do believe, about this. And it's what, 9% grade? 9.5% grade. So you're coming straight down this hill like this. And the only place to put this road, this access road for this neighborhood is right there at the bottom of that hill. At the bottom of that hill, it down goes straight into a blind curve. That's where my house sits, where a guardrail is. So if you add more traffic, I couldn't tell you the countless amount of people that have wrecked. I have seen 3 deaths on this road at my guardrail over the 30 years. We've had to have the guardrail replaced 3 times. I didn't let my children play in the yard because of the traffic, because they have ended up in my front yard. They have ended up with my house. I now do not let my grandchildren play in my front yard for this exact same reason. I have, we did let the kids one time play in the front yard. We were sitting out there. My stepdaughter goes and runs toward she was chasing a ball, runs toward the road, and she wasn't even close to the road, thank goodness. But at the same time, this car comes flying down, bounces off of the guardrail, and flips right in front of her, almost ending her life. If we add more traffic, then we're adding more chances of that happening.
Okay. And then, final question. When you're going out on Amanda Drive, looking left and right, does that grade I know that right there's a pretty steep hill that goes up towards 101st and then goes down Peters Mill. Does that affect your line of sight and
Yes.
knowing what to expect?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because it's a curve. So as you're sitting on Amanda Drive and you are looking to try to turn onto 101st. So as the cars are coming down Peters Mill, it's like they come around the curve, and then there's those apartments that are sitting right there, and then it's up that hill.
Okay.
And we are sitting right there.
All right.
So
Thank
yes,
you.
it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bridge.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak against ordinance 47? We only have room for one more.
You want to stand up?
Please give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Joe and Debbie Sink, who live next door to the Bridges up the hill. And in the white house, the little tiny white house on the right.
Okay, one at a time, please. Mr. Sink, you're recognized. Thank you.
We live next door. Anyway, the problem with this neighborhood, like she said, there's only one way in and one way out. Amanda Drive was built onto onto McClarty to get onto Peters Mill as a quick fix at the time when 101st was widened into 4 lanes. The problem with that, it's only 600 feet from 101st Peters intersection. If there's a wreck at the Peters 101st intersection, people try to divert coming down McClarty Road and they get stuck in our dead end subdivision because it's the only way out. And then it makes worse traffic. The Amanda Road, like Councilman Little brought up a minute ago, people come around the bridge heading south towards Peters Mill from West Creek subdivisions and Tiny Town. They come around that corner at 55, 60 mile an hour coming up the hill. Even though it's a 45 mile an hour speed limit through there. It is kind of a blind corner. The other bad part is when people pull up to that intersection to make a left turn onto 101st coming from Tiny Town on Peters, they take up the whole turn lane halfway down the hill almost to the bridge. And if you come out of McClarty trying to turn onto the other side of Amanda to get out, it's blocked. You have to go all the way down to Tiny Town and come back around a different direction. It's almost at times impossible to get out of that subdivision. That is one of our major concerns of putting more houses there. There's 530 residences there in that neighborhood. And most of those residents have at least 2 cars. Some have children that drive up to 3 cars. So you're talking 1,000 plus cars trying to get in and out of that neighborhood that only has a very small amount of room to get out. And it is dangerous as anything, and we've had multiple wrecks at Amanda and Peachers. I want to know is with this zoning that they've done a safety, traffic safety, or anything that has backed up good or evil to go along with this ordinance. That's what I would like to know. That's all I've got to say.
Thank
If
you,
I
Mr.
missed anything, my dear.
Thank you, Mr. Stink. One at a time. All right. Thank you. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, sir. You said 530. I believe last week the planning commission said there was 580. Did I misunderstand that? Where did you get the 530? I'm just wondering.
Off the zoning chart off of MC Montgomery County.
Okay.
There's 534 lots, I believe. There's only 530 houses.
Just
Is there more than, if there's more than that, I don't think there is, but
Okay.
anyway.
But maybe I told it, but just as a reminder, and I'll speak to this later, that we're supposed to have one entrance for every 250 units. So we're already over the maximum number of units in a neighborhood for the entrances and exits of the neighborhood.
Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one quick question for you. Just thank you for everything coming up here. Due to the hazards and stuff like that, if there ever was an evacuation that had to be made timely, do you feel like you can safely exit that area?
I do not.
Okay. Thank you.
Unless there was police assistance to evacuate everybody out of it. That would be the only way.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sink. Next item on our public hearing agenda is ordinance 48. Yeah, I got it right. Okay, 48. Sorry, 2023-24. My teeth and so I can talk. Amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Robert Wheeler, Walter Montero, and Lisa Andrews. Is there anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 48? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 48? Next item is ordinance 49, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of JNN Enterprises. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 49? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 49? Next item is resolution 15, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a plan of service for territory north of Garrettsburg Road and Clyde Court. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of resolution 15? You would give us your name and you have 5 minutes.
I'm Christian Black, and I'm just here to answer any questions you guys might have.
Any questions for Mr. Black? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of resolution 15? Resolution 16, 2023-24. I'm sorry. Let me back up a minute. Anyone in the audience wish to speak against resolution 15? Next item is resolution 16, 2023-24, a resolution annexing territory north of Garrettsburg Road and Clyde Court. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of resolution 16? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against resolution 16? Next item is resolution 17, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed territory north and west of Shaw Drive. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of resolution 17? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against resolution 17? Next item is resolution 18, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed territory north of Britton Springs Road and east of K Road. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of resolution 18? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against resolution 18? Next item is resolution 19, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed territory south of Highway 12 between Shelley Drive and Acorn Drive. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of resolution 19? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against resolution 19? Next item is resolution 20, 23-24, resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed territory north of Highway 12 between Fawn Drive and east of Old Ashland City Road. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of resolution 20? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against resolution 20? Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. I move we go back into regular session.
Motion made and properly seconded in favor to refer to regular session. Without objection, we're now in regular session. Councilperson Streetman.
As a reminder, all motions upon the advice of legal counsel shall be for approval. Ordinance 41, 2023, 24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Mary Lou Persinger, Singletary agent for zone change on property located on a tract of land located at the northeast corner of Tinytown Road and Allen Road intersection from AG Agricultural District to R2A Single Family Residential District, C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial, C2 General Commercial District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 41. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 41? Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sure you're all shocked. I would like to say that because there are two zoning cases that we're being asked to consider here tonight on Tinytown Road, the comments that I'm making reference to this one, I would like to apply to the other one as well, but I'm not going to say the same thing twice. This zoning case is one of two that would add, according to the traffic assessments that were provided, 18,000 additional trips to Tinytown Road, including 1,500 during peak afternoon hours. If anybody has or needs a visualization of what 1,500 cars during a peak afternoon hour is, assuming 15 feet per car, if those cars are bumper to bumper, we're talking about a 4-mile line of cars during a peak afternoon hour on a road that is 6.8 miles long. The traffic assessments for both of these cases contain identical language. The change in zone would generate a significant number of additional trips, followed by the statement, Tinytown Road can handle the additional traffic. The assessments do an excellent job of explaining how they arrive at the number of additional trips that these changes in land use would potentially generate, but there is nothing in either assessment that would indicate or inform any sort of judgment about whether or not Tinytown can handle this additional load. I'm fortunate enough to sit in the public safety or sit on the public safety committee, and one of the pieces of information that we get is the 5 streets in Clarksville that experience the highest number of traffic citations and traffic accidents in a given month. 4 of those 5 streets form a fence essentially around North Clarksville. Those are Fort Campbell Boulevard, 101st, Wilma Rudolph, and of course Tinytown. I bring that up to mention this added density that we continue adding to Tinytown, and of those 4 roads, Tinytown is the one that seems to be targeted the most for additional residential development. It is disproportionately affecting the people that live in this area. You cannot leave North Clarksville without traveling on at least 2 of these roads and probably crossing a third. I know myself, I have to take 2 of these roads and cross a third to get here even. And on my way here this morning, I passed a 3-car accident on Tinytown that had traffic backed up all the way from roughly the airport area to Fort Campbell Boulevard. We consistently tell our residents when they contact us about the traffic on some of these roads that these are state roads, and we understand there are additional obstacles and hurdles that come with making improvements to those roads. But if we're willing, or if we're asking these residents to accept that as an answer for why we can't do better, and we also need to take that into consideration when we are making these decisions. So I'm asking you all here today, this is not a rhetorical question. I would really appreciate an answer if you're willing to give one. If this is not too much, if 18,000 additional trips, daily trips, is not too much, how much more traffic are we going to put on Tinytown before we say enough is enough? Thank you.
Councilperson Marquis, you're recognized.
Thank you. So this is in my area. I was actually expecting to hear a lot more from the residents, but I'm not sure what's going on. But something I have heard in the past, though, about particularly North Clarksville and people who live in my area is the fact that it is just primarily residential. There is nothing really to do, or so they have to travel to other parts of town, Wilma Rudolph downtown, in order to do stuff. And something that they do want is more commercial. Unfortunately, sorry, it's just they want stuff to do up in North Clarksville without having to travel. And if there is things that are closer to them, there won't be, less people across town. Or sorry, there will be less people across town trying to get to those areas because they can just go within their areas. And this rezoning does have a couple of different ones. They have C2, C5, and R2A, which would allow that opportunity for things to be developed for people to do. And I'm not sure if any of you guys kind of glanced at the draft of the planning commission, but something I found in it earlier was they specifically do speak about North Clarksville, and in it it does talk about redeveloping big box strip commercial retail to the community, expanding outdoor opportunities and amenities. And I think that since this area is primarily residential, there's not a lot of land left to do these things, that this will provide the opportunity to do that and will go with the current draft that is being presented, as well as from what I've heard of other residents. And as far as the traffic is concerned, I know that it was mentioned that Allen Road is going to be widened a little bit and fixed. And then Tiny Town is considered an arterial road. And unfortunately, regardless of where you go in the entire country, those types of roads will always have high density, high traffic, and it's not really something we can change, but we can look into how to make it safer, if anything, with streets and the state. And so I'm just gonna vote yes because it's going to potentially give us the opportunity for those commercial strips that people have told me they want. So thank you.
Councilperson Holloman, pass? Okay. Okay, thank you. Anyone else have a question or comment regarding this ordinance? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
9 yes, 3 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 41 is adopted. First reading. Councilperson Streetman, you recognized.
Ordinance 42, 2023, 24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Gregor Holloman, John Mark Holloman, agent for zone change on a parcel of land located east of the Spring Street and Beaumont Street intersection from M1 Light Industrial District to CBD Central Business District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 42. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 42? Councilperson Holloman, you recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I will be abstaining on this as it is a family business transaction.
Thank you. Any other comment or question regarding this ordinance? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
11 yes, 0 no, 1 abstain.
Ordinance 42 is adopted. First reading. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 43, 2023, 24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Jeffrey Robinson, Cody Dahl, agent for zone change on property located on a parcel of land fronting on the south frontage of Hickory Heights, 310 plus or minus feet west of the Hickory Heights and Walnut Drive intersection from AG Agricultural R2 Single Family Residential District to R2A Single Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 43. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 43? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
11 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 43 is adopted. First reading. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 44, 2023, 24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn for zone change on a lot fronting on the west frontage of 7 Mile Ferry Road North, 250 plus or minus feet north of the 7 Mile Ferry Road North and Old 7 Mile Ferry Road intersection from R1 Single Family Residential District to R6 Single Family Residential District. both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 44. Anyone wish to speak to ordinance 44? Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Yes, ma'am. I would just like to say for this ordinance, we've heard the concerns of the constituents, and those who live in that area. And I'm gonna ask you all to, vote against this, if you would, please. We know that it is narrow there. We heard from, Mr. Jason Johnson, I believe, and, Mr. Glenn Eaton, who poured out their concerns about the area. They live there and they know. And so I just ask you all to vote against this until we get the roads widened. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm actually going to be voting in favor of this one. When we're looking at this R6 lot, your request for R6 zoning, it's an increase of one home. You can already put one home there. This would allow for 2 homes to be built there. I know the neighbors had concerns about roads being, cars being parked in the road. That could happen whether or not it was 1 home or whether it was 2 homes. This isn't a large amount that we're putting there. The depth of the driveway would be the same whether or not it was left as an R1 or it's built as 2 R6 homes. I know there were some concerns with families not being able to have a big enough backyard, but when you're talking about a small family that's just looking for a starter home, they're likely not going to be able to afford something like a pool. You have small children. You may not have any children at all. You could even have an older family that's living there that doesn't still have children living at the home. I think it's important that we have a mix of different homes available so that you have some homes that do have the larger lots, and people can afford to do that. They enjoy mowing the yard, but you have others that they're looking for the small lot. They're looking for the home that they're able to get the mortgage for and be able to get started so that they can move later into the larger homes. Again, you're talking about the addition of 1 home, so 2, maybe 3 cars that you would be adding to the road versus what you can build there now. And if you look diagonal across the street, there's a large portion already zoned R4. So you've already got rezoning that's happening in this area. Then you look right down the road and everything is C2. So you're right here in the thick of things. So we're not talking about a large amount. So I'm going to be voting in favor of this because to me, I can understand what they're trying to do here.
Councilperson Marquis, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, briefly to touch on what was just previously said, if you guys look at the second to last page where it's kind of zoomed in on the zoning, right across the street there is a massive orange block, which is R4, and that's a vacant wooded lot. So somebody can just come in and put a lot of apartments in without coming to city council and requesting to do so. And if, that's not, negative. We're just talking about one additional house compared to what can go across the street without any of us even ever seeing the plans. So I don't really think 1 house is really a big deal at this point. Sorry, I'm gonna vote for it. Thank you.
Councilperson Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Like I said before, I have concerns with the width of the road, and the thing is, whether this passes, if this passes tonight and on second reading, this will be a future road widening project because this road is not wide enough. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, I just like this. I agree. I don't disagree with having diverse housing opportunities all throughout the city, but this is a mistake we continually make here and at the Planning Commission, is before we infill this area, we should have laid out another way in and out of this area. And just not, and once we set the standard of R6, it will continue. Just like previous speakers have said, oh, there's R6 at the end, there's R4. And if we allow it in the middle, then where do we say no when they sell that big chunks of property and they want to turn them all into R1? And who pays for the road then? So it's not that I oppose an R6, it's that we're not planning well enough for the traffic as this area develops. And if we allow it to piecemeal before we make that decision or we make those plans, then we're doing what we always do, and that's blocking in our community without we'll get another McClarty Lane on the books here. So I'll be voting no, but not because I'm opposed to R6, but because the infrastructure does not support it.
Councilperson Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. as some speaker said that one house won't make a difference. One house makes a big difference. It makes the lot smaller. Uh, the roads are still narrow. It's not going to change the roads. It's going to make it worse in their community. So you all, please remember those who are voting against this when it's time for them to run for office again, okay? I always keep a record of things. I'm doing my best. I mean, you know, they don't hear you because if they did, they would listen with concern and help, but they don't. I always make a record of those who always vote in favor of things that does not fit. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak to this ordinance? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
5 yes, 7 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 44 fails. Councilperson Streetman, you recognize.
Ordinance 45, 2023, 24, first reading. Amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville. Application of Eubank LLC, Johnny Piper agent for zone change on property located on a tract of land fronting on the south frontage of Eubank Drive, 700 plus or minus feet west of the Eubank Drive and Innovation Way intersection from M2 General Industrial District to M1 Light Industrial District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 45. Anyone wish to speak to ordinance 45? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 45 is adopted. First reading. Councilperson Streetman, you recognize.
Ordinance 46, 2023, 24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Christopher E. Doherty et al. For zone change on two parcels of land fronting on the north frontage of Pollard Road, northwest of Pollard Road and Quentin Drive intersection from R1 Single Family Residential District, R3 Three Family Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 46. Councilperson McLaughlin, you recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I went ahead and printed out a map for all of you that shows what is already zoned R4 along Peters Mill Road. There are two large parcels closest to Pollard Road that are not yet developed. And I hope that you all did take my suggestion last week and drive from Providence Boulevard on Peters Mill towards the 101st. There is a lot of traffic that backs up. Previous speaker spoke about the traffic that comes from Tiny Town Road to McClarty. Well, that traffic continues to Providence Boulevard where it's much more narrow. It's 2 lanes. The R4 that is zoned at the corner of Pollard Road and Peters Mill Road was rezoned for Mr. Doherty to have his sign there for his body shop. Nothing else has ever been there. And the only thing that's there now is a sign for a new development that's being built down Pollard Road. The Planning Commission staff spoke about how this was needed to bring the existing structures into conformance. Well, it's not necessary because it was allowed under different zoning guidelines. We have looked at other zoning cases farther down Pollard Road. Specifically, we had a big parcel that was zoned R1 that we were looking at R2. We denied that because of traffic and congestion. And honestly, my opinion is that we already have enough R4 along that stretch of Peters Mill Road close to Pollard Road, and we're just creating more problems. And the fact that Mr. Dillon had spoke about there not being any R4 on Pollard Road proper is a reason that we don't do it. The same reason that we voted, or at least I voted against R6 on the previous, is because there wasn't any in that stretch road. So I please ask that you all vote no on this. And Mayor, I know someday we'll have to look at Peters Mill Road widening, but you did a great thing by adding sidewalks there for safety for the kids to get to Bernstard in our 2020 plus plan. But everywhere we have traffic, it just doesn't make sense to add R4 right there up Pollard Road. So I please ask that you vote no. Thank you.
Councilperson Allen, you recognize.
So while this is not my ward, this used to be my hood, y'all. Okay. So what I'm going to tell you guys is that right across the street from there, there's a house on the corner, and that's where one of my closest friends live. When you go on that road, what you're saying is you want apartments, R4, a house, apartments, and then another house. And then on the other side, all houses. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't pass the make sense test to put apartments into that neighborhood. There's no other apartments in that neighborhood. And I would ask you guys not to vote for this because it's just out. I don't know why it said it's in character, but the apartments are outside of Pollard. Thank you.
Councilperson Red, you recognize.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't believe that multifamily fits in this place at all. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Councilperson Little, you recognized.
Same statement. Those are my stomping grounds as of right now and everything like that. And so the area is residential, and residential fits in that area, and R4 doesn't fit within that.
Thank you. I've sent the theme here. Anyone else? All right. Are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Wow. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
0 yes, 12 no, 0 abstain.
That was close. Ordinance 46 fails. All right. We're ready for ordinance 47. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Councilperson Streaming, you're recognized.
Ordinance 47, 2023, 24, first reading. Amending the zoning ordinance. I'm sorry, I wanted to make sure I was on the right one. I apologize. Amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Robert Holt, Bill Mace agent for zone change on property located on a tract of land fronting on the north frontage of McClarty Road, 875 plus or minus feet east of the McClarty Road and Whit Lane intersection from AG Agricultural District to R2 Single Family Residential District. The Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 47. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, I would like to ask that we vote no on this. We are already outside of our ordinance at you should have 250 units or 500 for 2 entrances, and they really don't even have true in and out entrances to this neighborhood. And as we infill, as I've said in the past, we need to respect the property owners that are already there and of course our own ordinances. There's still a lot of property in that neighborhood. And if we allow this one and the next one and the next one, and we still do not, from my understanding, and I believe I asked that at the planning commission, we don't have another way in and out of that neighborhood. So we put them at risk, and it is, like I said, it is time that we as a council start enforcing the ordinances that are on the books. Thank you.
Councilperson Streetman, you recognize.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm also against this one. I have in Ward 10, there are 2 sections that have one way in and one way out. And anytime there's an accident at the entrance, then there is no way for those residents that live there to be able to get in and out. And I mean, looking at this one, if you even just look at it on the map, if you were to have an accident at the intersection of Amanda and McClarty or even further down, you're not going to be, anybody that lives in those 530, 535, 580 homes, whichever the number is, those people aren't going to be able to get to and from their homes. So for me, I realize it's the potential of maybe a dozen homes going there, but even still, I can't support any more going in there until there is another way for the residents that live there now and could potentially live there in the future to be able to get in and out of that area.
Councilperson Marquis, you recognize.
Thank you, Mayor. So real quick, it was 580 because I do have it. And then the reason apparently that it is over the 250 is because this subdivision apparently predates the regulations that require it to have multiple outlets. And so obviously they were grandfathered in because of that. And what we're seeing, this is one thing that we're seeing across the city where small sections were part of the county, or were already done before a new rule came into place. And now we kind of have to go back and kind of re-engineer different things and figure out how to make them safer. So right now I think that this is at a max capacity at the moment. for that little area. So I agree with voting against this. Thank you.
Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I frequent this area a lot, and I have to mirror what a lot of the constituents said. That area, just trying to get out from, was Amanda, is just, I'm even scared to drive out of there at times because it's just, you don't know what can be lurking around the corner, and the speed difference from 101st even to going to Peachers Mill, most people will gun it again as soon as they hit it right there, and I can't be in favor of anything that's that dangerous.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to try not to repeat what the previous speakers had said, but we talked about this last week. I looked on the Assessor Properties website and just kind of clicked around at the lots to see if there was any way that we could connect to an existing neighborhood. And uniquely, the Red River, the West Fork wraps all the way around. But even if we wanted to bridge across to the creek to another subdivision, there aren't any street stubs. So again, even down the road, I don't know what we would do. Again, I'm not an engineer and I don't play one on TV, but I do think that it is in the best interest for all of us to vote against this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Before Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
And I'm joining the rest. I will be voting against this because of what I've heard from the citizens who live in that area. They know what they need. They lived there for a long time. I've heard so many things about the deaths, the guardrails, one way in, one way out. Thank you for coming. I will be voting against this.
Okay, anyone else? Before we vote, Ryan Pulley, could you hit the air conditioner just a little bit? It's kind of stuffy up here. I know. I'm channeling my inner Deanna McLaughlin. All righty. All right, we're now ready to vote on ordinance 47. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
2 yes, 10 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 47 fails. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 48, 2023, 24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Robert Wheeler, Walter Montero, and Lisa Andrews, Bill Mace agent for zone change on property located on a parcel of land with frontage on the south frontage of Madison Street, 675 plus or minus feet of the Madison Street and Crossland Avenue intersection from R1 Single Family Residential District, O1 Office District to C2 General Commercial District. But the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended disapproval. I so move for approval.
Motion been made for approval for ordinance 48. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 48? Councilperson Allen, you recognized.
So I have a question maybe for the Planning Commission representative. I watched the meeting. I wasn't here. I'm really trying to understand why it was disapproved.
You are recognized.
Thank you, sir. Hold on. I'm trying to pull it up. Did you reach out to Mr. Tyndall in the last week since you watched it? Oh, that might have been a great idea to talk to him being at the Regional Planning Commission, but hold on. As you can see, it's got that it's inconsistent with the adopted land use plan. It indicates the present O1 zoning classification is assumed to be correct unless the proposed zone is more consistent with the land use plan. The parcel was incorrectly zoned in the first place, or major changes of an economic, physical, or social nature were not considered in the present plan, which have substantially altered the character of the area. The current O1 office district provides an appropriate transition to the single-family residential homes to the west. It is in character with the development pattern in the area. This this property is located within the residential subdistrict of the Madison Street Design Overlay District, and it has very steep topography that encumbers the property and may impact the drainage of the property. I can also tell you, if I remember this one correctly, and I apologize, I don't have it in front of me right now, but I think this one was unanimously voted in favor of disapproval from the Regional Planning Commission. And like I said, I'm sorry I didn't grab that to have that in front of me to answer that part.
Thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
In the most non-professional planning commission terms, if you're on Crossland Avenue and you look down at Madison Street, the grade is crazy. you'd have to really build up the Madison Street side to make it developable.
Councilperson Red, you recognized.
I too was not here at the executive committee meeting, and I see on the map here on Madison Street, there's O1, looks like right across the street from there, and C2 is over here. I mean, I believe I'd like to make a motion to postpone this so I can get more information next week.
You've heard the motion. Do I hear a second? Motion been made and properly seconded to postpone ordinance 48 until the January 2024 regular session. So we're discussing now the motion to postpone ordinance 48. Councilperson McLaughlin on the motion to postpone.
2 readings.
All right, you've heard. Anyone else wish to speak to the motion to postpone? Councilperson Red, you're recognized on the motion. Your motion.
It doesn't pass the first reading. There's not 2 readings. Good
point. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized on the motion to postpone.
I second what Councilperson Red said.
Councilperson Streetman.
I agree with what the member from Ward 2, if this were to pass, there would be a second reading and opportunity. If it's not going to pass, it likely wasn't going to pass, whether it was now or whether it was next month. We've had ample time to find out information on this. I say that we go ahead and make a vote on this tonight.
Councilperson Smith on the motion to postpone.
Thank you. No, I wouldn't want to postpone this because there was no one against this, and no one, in other words, nobody spoke in opposition of this. And it's always good to come to the executive. That's how you learn what's going on. No offense to anybody, just saying that, we have to be about our business. Thank you.
All right, anyone else wish to speak on the motion to postpone? Okay, we're now voting on the motion to postpone ordinance 48 to the January 2024 regular session. Every member cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
4 yes, 8 no, 0 abstain.
Motion to postpone fails. We're back on the motion for approval of ordinance 48. Anyone wish to address further ordinance 48? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
3 yes, 8 no, 0 abstain.
No second reading for ordinance 48. It fails. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 49, 2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance map of the city of Clarksville, application of J&N Enterprises, Inc. for zone change on property located on a portion of the tract of land located north of Tinytown Road, east of Andersonville Drive and west of Egrat Drive and Sandpiper Drive from R2 Single Family Residential District, R2D 2 Family Residential District, C2 General Commercial District, C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. The Regional Planning Commission and staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 49. Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to remind everybody that this is 11,000 of the 18,000 additional trips that are being added to Tinytown. I do hope to get some answers to some questions that I sent since receiving this traffic assessment before what I expect to be a second reading, and hopefully we can talk about this again next month. Thank you.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
So with this being my ward, it's kind of the same thing that a previous council member talked about. But the difference is it's already zoned R2. So that's a whole bunch more houses than we're looking at with C5 and C2. They're looking at putting some big box things in there versus a whole bunch more houses and a whole bunch more residents, so where we have a lot of things going in and out, a lot of cars and vehicles going in and out of a residential area. I do know that if we put more houses over here, it's going to be severely congested, and I'd rather see some businesses come, like a previous council member said, businesses come so we don't have to drive across town to get to the things we want to get to. We can come to them right there. So this is right across the way from my current residence, and I think I'd rather see some big box businesses come to our side of town versus more houses. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
I would just like to remind the council that C2 does allow you to put apartments.
Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
11,000 trips is 11,000 trips whether they're going to a residence or going to a commercial establishment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
7 yes, 5 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 49 passes. First reading. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Resolution 15, 2023, 24, a resolution adopting a plan of service for territory north of Garrettsburg Road and Clyde Court. Make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 15. Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Since this will be added to my ward, I just wanted to report to you all that I did not receive any negative comments from any of the neighbors, especially the ones on Garrettsburg Road.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 15 is adopted. Councilperson Streetman.
Resolution 16, 2023, 24, a resolution annexing territory north of Garrettsburg Road and Clyde Court. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 16. Any comment or question regarding Ordinance 16? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 16 is adopted. Councilperson Streetman.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to combine the next 4 resolutions into one, if that's possible.
Motion been made to combine the next 4 resolutions, which are Resolution 17, 18, 19, and 20. It was properly seconded. Any objection to combining those 4? Hearing none, motion passes. We are now on those 4. Councilperson Streetman.
Resolution 17, 2023, 24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed territory north and west of Shaw Drive. Resolution 18, 2023, 24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed territory north of Britton Springs Road and east of K Road. Resolution 19, 2023, 24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed territory south of Highway 12 between Shelley Drive and Acorn Drive. Resolution 2023-24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed territory north of Highway 12 between Fawn Drive and east of Old Ashland City Road. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 17, 18, 19, and 20. Any comment or question regarding those 4 resolutions? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolutions 17 through 20 are adopted. Councilperson Streetman.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you very much. We're now ready for the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, you're on.
All items in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the council may request that an item be removed for separate consideration under the appropriate committee report. Ordinance 37, 2023-24, second reading. An ordinance amending Part 2, Code of Ordinances, Title 13, Utilities and Services, Chapter 3, Gas, Water, and Sewer Services, the City of Clarksville relative to credit debit card transaction fees. Ordinance 38, 2023-24, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville, application of the estate of Bruce and O'Trust Carden for zone change on property located on 2 parcels fronting on the west frontage of Evans Road, 325 plus or minus feet north of the Evans Road and Dogwood Trail intersection from RM1 Single Family Mobile Home Park Residential District to R3 3 Family Residential District. Resolution 24, 2023-24, a resolution approving appointments to the Audit Committee. Resolution 25, 2023-24, a resolution approving a certificate of compliance for sale of wine at Mapco Express, doing business as Mapco number 7514, located at 2491 Fort Campbell Boulevard in Clarksville. Resolution 26, 2023-24, a resolution approving a certificate of compliance for sale of wine at Mapco Express, doing business as Mapco number 7502, located at 2099 Wilma Rudolph Boulevard in Clarksville. Resolution 27, 2023-24, a resolution approving a certificate of compliance for sale of wine at Mapco Express, doing business as Mapco number 7509, located at 1500 Tiny Town Road in Clarksville, and minutes from November 2nd, 2023.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion in a second. Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of the consent agenda. Anyone wish to be recognized? Councilperson Smith on the consent agenda.
Mayor, I would like to pull, ordinance 37, 2023-24.
Okay, we'll take that up under the Gas and Water Committee report. Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
I was just going to make a comment on 37, but I guess I'll wait.
Okay, all right. Anyone else wish to be recognized on the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote on the consent agenda? Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
The consent agenda is adopted. Thank you. We're ready for the Finance Committee report. Chairperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 39, 2023-24, first reading. An ordinance amending Part 2 Code of Ordinances, Title 13, Utilities and Service, Chapter 3, Gas, Water, and Sewer Service, the City of Clarksville relative to gas rates, charges, and/or fees. Both the Finance Committee and the Gas and Water Committees voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of this ordinance. Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. As we discussed last week, Mr. Riggins came up here and presented to us the need for increasing both the rates and the service fees. In regard to the service fees that are being charged as far as for turning the gas on, turning the gas off, reconnecting, the reason that increase has been brought forward to us is because it's currently costing the gas department more than we are collecting for those services to be done. So it is needed to be able to bring that in line because that number has not changed. If I'm correct, that one hasn't changed since 2007. And as you can imagine, wages and inflation and everything has gone up during that time. So this is needed to be able to cover those costs that are associated with it. In regard to the increase in the rates, that are a moderate increase in the usage rate over the next 5 years, that while, yes, we do have a $1 million deficit over the first few months of the year now. As was stated previously, it does ebb and flow, but it's not going to come back completely to where we break even on that. But even more importantly than that, there are capital projects that need to be completed over the next several years. And what Mr. Riggins has done here has crafted a plan in order to make sure that we can get these dozen or more capital projects that need to be completed that are in excess of $60 million. The only way to be able to do that and fund those is to be able, and to do it in a fiscally responsible way, is to increase the usage rates that we're being charged. And again, it's doing it at a moderate pace over the next 5 years with incremental increases each year in order to be able to plan for those capital projects and make sure we have those capital projects complete so that we can continue servicing the ratepayers of our community, both within the city limits and outside the city limits.
Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you. Motion for my amendment to ordinance 39, 2023-24.
You've heard a motion and properly seconded. Councilperson Little, if you would explain your amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. I do appreciate all the work, and I appreciate Mr. Riggins. I understand that, it is a lot to do and a lot to keep up with, but in this amendment,
My first point is just to keep the reactivation rate at the current rate with no increase. The reason why I state this is because my own experiences as a youngster growing up poor, to where you're already being hit to pay those utilities, and then you can afford them, so you can get hit extra to cut them back on. Now, with our rate increases, that's going to make the people who already can afford it go further down into the hole, and then you're going to raise up the amount that you're charging them to reconnect that rate. I don't feel as comfortable as doing that at this present moment without further information. Maybe if there was a way that we could get some kind of chart or thing that shows the total amount of disconnects, maybe for the year by month, if it's possible to filter it by late or non-payments. And then if you can also represent that by regions, that'd be greatly appreciated. Next one is to strike through the rate schedule increase past the date of schedule of July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. That would be the last rate increase. The reason why I put that in place was because I wanted to see if we can do another reassessment to see where we're at. And the biggest thing is nobody knows exactly what's going to happen in 5 years. 2020 hit. We're only 3 years into it, and it's just keep getting worse. I know that there are inflations. The inflation rate has slowed. So I just wanted to, I know that rates are going to have to be proportionate to the amount of things that need to be done, but I want to do it in a way to where we're not affecting the ratepayers too much. And then after, if we do get this approved, I wouldn't mind sending this back to the Finance Committee for further evaluations and see how we can get this further done. Just more information and to assist the ratepayers.
Is that it? Okay. You've heard the explanation. Councilperson Smith on the amendment.
Okay, and this is what he said. You're talking about the ratepayers for the credit cards and
No, this is gas rates.
oh, for the gas rates. Okay. Okay, I'm speaking the same thing then for the gas rates. I don't think we need to increase the gas rates. I think they need to stay the same. And I have a question if you can bring him up.
What's the question?
The question is, he said that there was an analysis done or a study done. That's the reason why they needed to raise the gas rates. And so that's my concern. What did they use to make this analysis to say that the gas rates needs to go up? Because I've got a lot of complaints about this, and I'm only doing what I'm supposed to do. Ask questions for my constituents.
Okay.
What
Without
determined?
Okay. Without objection, we'll ask Mr. Riggins to come up and maybe he can address some or all of this. Mr. Riggins, Councilperson Smith, if you don't mind, ask the question again.
You sent me something in email that the reason why the gas rates were going up was because there was a study done, and this study said that we need to raise the gas rates. So what determined? What was used, what process they used, or what procedures did they use to determine that the gas rate needs to go up?
Right. So if you'll remember, we put this out in RFP, and we did this a professional service with Jackson Thornton, and this is what they do. They do rate studies, audits, things like that. So they took all of our financial information historically. They took our budget that this body approved, including the capital projects for the next 5 years and beyond. We discussed other projects outside of those 5 years that we know are coming down the pipe within the next 10. And then they looked at that based off of what money that we're bringing in, the current inflation, and that as we went back and forth in the email today in the explanation to the one constituent, just without the capital projects, just that alone, again, with the statement that we're in $1 million deficit now, I do agree. We will regain some of that. With the current conditions in the inflation right now, with the pipe costs, material costs, things like that, we cannot get back to zero, to flush. That's just with that. If that alone was there, I could sustain for a year or two. I don't know how much longer before I would have to come back. You add the CIP, which is a capital improvement projects that we have to do in order to keep up with our regulatory concerns or yeah, the regulations with TPUC, the Tennessee Pipeline Utility Commission, that you add those on top of that at $60 million plus over the next 10 years, we cannot make it. We can't do those, which puts me in a position to where one of two things. Either I don't do those projects and then I get to the point I cannot maintain, which will happen. As you heard me say the other night, our main pipeline, the first main pipeline that ever entered Clarksville, is 70 years old. It will have to be replaced. That right there alone 2 years ago was $35 million plus just for that one project that I will have to do. So you take that into account plus the others. If I don't do those projects, then I'm out of compliance. What the state will do, and we've seen this, we have experience in this, unfortunately. As you remember, when I went and took over the gas department, we were in trouble with the state and for non-compliance. It cost me money to get there in fines and work done to get out of that, to the point that was 7 years ago, to the point now where we have a great relationship with our regulators. We don't want to be back in that situation. And what they'll do is assess fines and force us to do those projects as well. That's the one option that we don't want to be in, of course. The other option is to try to do part of these projects without the rate increase. This is all options without a rate increase, of course. Try to do this without those. I will not be able to do all these projects. My CFO would not allow me to do these projects. If I could complete some $1-2 million projects, remember, I'm going farther in the hole and farther in the hole, which then I face two issues. One, I can't complete all the projects and I'm back in front of TPUC. But then because my finances won't keep up, now I'm in front of T-Board. And we're in a worse situation than we are today.
Now, Mr. Riggins, thank
Yes,
you. Y'all are an enterprise type organization, so
Yes,
it
ma'am.
means y'all usually pay your bills. You make your money, you generate your own money, and you can pay your own,
Yes.
stuff. So, how much are we talking about the rates going up?
There was a spreadsheet that was emailed out for residential. I have a copy of it if you'd
Just give me just an estimated idea, if you don't mind, just for the constituents, so they can. This is on recording, and they can hear you, and then I don't have to answer so many questions.
Okay, well, I'm going to allow this question to be answered, and then we're going to get back to any questions about the amendment.
Okay.
So I don't want to cross-pollinate here. So, Mr. Riggins, if you would.
So directly from the spreadsheet, and this is inside residential. So inside the city, single-family residential homes or apartment complexes that have individual meters, which are not that many of those. Let me say that. We're talking, so just basically in the summertime for an average home, the minimum bill for any gas usage, this is not just, if there's gas usage, the minimum bill without it's $12.05. At the end of 4 years, it'll be 16. That's with no gas usage, $4 difference. If there is what we call average usage in the summertime, that average bill right now is about $14.22. At the end of the rate increases proposed, it will be $18.53.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Are you on the amendment? Let's
Yes.
make sure we stick to the amendment.
Yes, sir.
All right.
The only thing I'm gonna say, Mary, and I'm gonna let him go.
Okay.
Let him go, because I know you're gonna get me.
Okay.
But what I was gonna say was, now we just went up on the on the water bill and the sewage, and how these people gonna afford to pay this? So we'll leave that alone. Just gonna leave that question to you, and you don't have to answer that. Okay. I'm not gonna let him answer that. Mary, you want him to answer it or not?
Well, do you want to answer it, or you?
All I can say is all three of my divisions, gas, water, and sewer, they're funded on their own. I can't use water and sewer money for gas. I can't use gas money for water and sewer. The only time they're combined is when you consider as an enterprise when you're bonding for debt.
Okay. Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
Okay, Councilperson Allen on the amendment.
Yes. On this paper right here, it says the increase for the water and sewer would be 2027? No?
No, it goes up every.
This one right here? I'm talking about reactivation.
Is that a question for the sponsor of the amendment?
No, it's for Mr. Riggins.
If you're talking about service fees, those will be July 1st of 2024.
Oh, this is misleading. Sorry.
Yes, all the rates will be in subsequent over 4 years subsequential steps.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilperson Reynolds on the amendment.
Yes, I would like to, just, were you done? I'm sorry.
Press your number again, or button again. We'll get to you. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized. No, you go ahead. We'll get back to her. All right, you've yielded the floor. Councilperson Holloman, we're going down the list. On the amendment, please.
All right, on the amendment, number one, keep reactivation rate at current rate with no increase. This is something that we really don't want to mess with. I mean, this was done professionally. Like, we hired professional people to come in and do this rate study. And any type of alterations, I'm afraid, can set us on a path for disaster. I mean, I was at a training a few days ago, and the comptroller was there, and they were talking about specifically water departments, and how certain water departments, through mismanagement, the state pretty much takes them over, and then they issue fines. And what they do is they'll issue fines, and just say it's like $1 million, $1 million fine, and then they take that $1 million fine and they'll put it towards the infrastructure. So they force you to do it. They also raise rates, and they don't really have any. They don't seem to have any issues about that as well. But number two, strike through rate schedule increase past July 1st of 2024 and June 30th, 2025 schedule. We need to keep to the schedule because it's a slow, gradual increase, and that's done a lot better. A lot of studies with rates is people don't like large chunk rate increases, but if you do it small, incremental increases, it's not as bad. But what happens is with utilities, you get caught in this loop, and so what happens is it'll be like, we got to get this really large rate increase going. Oh, okay, this is gonna be terrible. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes rate increases. So then they pass that, but then they put it off again, and so then they can never get back on this gradual system because they just keep pushing it off further down the road. And so what it is this will set us on the right track if we vote this amendment down. But that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson McLaughlin on the Little amendment.
Yes, question for the sponsor, just for clarification, part two, is the recommendation that we do the first rate increase and none after that? Yes,
Councilperson Little.
No, it would be the 2 rate increases. And I'm hoping within the years of those 2 rate increases, or even before we get to the point of where the rate increase summary that is currently presented runs out, we get the opportunity to reassess without automatically assuming, without automatically putting everything forward like that. I know that there are different rates that are being increased, little by little, and I don't think you necessarily meant this, but the way it sounds to people would be like, fool them into thinking like it's just small increases over time, and really it's a large increase. I don't think you meant it like that, but it sounded like that. But what I'm stating is just for, not saying that there doesn't have to be any more increases later on, but I'm saying let's reassess the increases that we're going through. And so right now, as it is, it would just strike through the last, I believe, 3 rate increases for the last 3 years, keep the same 2 that are going to be increased in the ordinance, and just give us a moment to be able to reassess situations, see where we're at before we try to make more decisions. And that just coincides with the reactivation rate, staying that where it's at. And like I said, I don't mind getting this sit back to the finance committee, but I feel like if we are increasing rates, and it says by the end of it, it's going to be about, almost 82% increase. And if you're increasing rates, and then you're also increasing the reactivation rate on people who can't afford the utilities already, I just feel like we should just take it step by step. That's all I'm saying. And that's all I got to say to your question.
Councilperson McLaughlin.
Okay, I'm still confused because the way that I'm reading this basically says that after June 30th, 2025, there would not be another rate increase. That's the first cycle. That's why I was asking the clarifying question.
My apologies.
Councilperson McLaughlin has the floor.
Okay, so the way it reads is that we would do you're recommending we do the first rate increase, which would be from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. There would not be a rate increase after that, is the way that I'm reading your amendment. Thank you.
Okay, Councilperson Streetman on the amendment.
Yes, sir. Mr. Riggins has developed this plan as far as the rate increases. Again, as I mentioned, there are $60 million worth of capital projects that need to be completed. And again, you're talking about a dozen projects. The reason these are put in place and they're spread out over the 5 years is because each of these projects need to be completed. There's going to be a timeline for each of them. There's going to be a cost associated with each of them. If we say cut it at 1 year or 2 years, whichever it is, as far as this is listed, then you're limiting what it is that he's going to be able to do for the department and able to be able to build these. He's put a lot of work into this, not only just working with the people that came in, the advisors that have come in and done the study of the recommendation, but he's looked at a whole of what our entire infrastructure is needed for our community. Like he referenced, we've got a 70-year-old pipe that needs to be replaced. This is not any of the new area. This is not new growth. This has to do with our older infrastructure that's in place and that's going to need to be replaced. And if we're only saying, oh, we'll do this a little bit, then he's going to be coming to us every year with an increase. And that's not something that he wants to do. He's coming to us now with a well laid out plan for what it is that he's trying to do for the department. I trust what Mr. Riggins brings to us. He's the expert in this situation. He's never going to want to come to us. He is the expert in this situation. He is the director and the department head for the gas and water department and has worked there for very many years. And prior to being the director of the gas and water department as a whole, he was actually over the gas division. So he's very well versed in what it is that our community needs. He's looking out for our community to try and take care of them. I ask that we vote down this amendment. Let's move on to the ordinance that's been brought to us, and let's work through that and discuss that in more detail because I've got more information I can add, but that's just in reference to the amendment.
Councilperson Allen on the Little amendment.
So first of all, as for him being an expert, yeah, he's the expert, but we're the legislative body. And our job is to make sure our constituents are taken care of. We are doubling, per this ordinance, we are doubling a reactivation fee. I can only think of that mother or that father or those two-parent homes that can't afford a $50 fee, let alone a $100 fee. And this right here is not the time to do that. We raised water. We got new credit card stuff over there in gas and water. And now we're going to raise the rates. And now we want to raise the reactivation fee. I don't know where you guys came from, but I came from the projects. And if somebody told me that a reactivation fee went from $50 to $100, my family would have never got their heat back on. Period. So while this $50 won't affect me today, I'm never going to forget where I came from. We can sit here, we can say, Mr. Riggins is an expert, and he sure is. He's doing his job. But our job is to look out for these constituents. I say let's vote for these reactivation fees because if the reactivation fees go past, I'm not voting for any of it. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized on the amendment.
Yes, I'd just like to talk about the rate schedule that we're proposing. I reviewed the audit that was submitted in June of 2023, and the audit shows that the net position of the gas and water department increased by $3.8 million from 2022 to 2023. It showed that the cash on hand in the gas and water for FY22 was almost $31 million. Mm-hmm. Cash on hand for FY 2023 was $33 million. An estimate of the budget shows that the annual expenses for 2023 was $39 million, and the budget request for 2024 was $33 million, so it decreased. The city's policy for cash on hand in the general fund is 20% of operating expenses. This is not a hard and fast rule for other departments, but it is the general rule when we're doing the budget, how much is on hand. By the end of FY 2023, the cash on hand balance was 85% of the annual operating expenses for gas and water. So they're holding on to 85% cash of their operating expenses. That's well over the 20% which is needed to retain a AAA bond rating. I do not think that we should be stockpiling cash. We are talking about future projects, but I don't want to approve a rate increase on a future project. I want to know what the future project is, and I want a proposal, and I want to know about when before you come ask me to put money in the bank when you're already sitting on about 85% of your annual expenses, well above what's needed. So I will be voting for the amendment, but I will not be voting for the ordinance.
Councilperson Red, you're recognized on the amendment.
Yes, sir. I'm looking at the amendment. I guess my question is, what is, wouldn't a no vote just be the same thing as the amendment? I want to know the difference there from the sponsor, because he said that it wasn't the purpose or the intention, but if you strike through the rate schedule and you keep, the current rate with no increase, I don't see a difference between that and just voting no, of course.
Is that directed to the sponsor?
Yes,
Is that,
sir.
okay, you're recognized to the sponsor, Councilperson Little.
Thank you. Because I wasn't trying to do anything that, with the current way the ordinance is, it's not pieced out section by section. So if you wanted to vote no, you have to piece it out or do something like that. So what this does is address certain sections of the ordinance instead of trying to separate everything. And not only that, it would give us an opportunity, like I said, just to reassess, see where we're at, see where the financial books are, see where everything is. That way, you know, when we have everything laid out and we reassess, because I'm not affecting any other rates. I'm not affecting the way the rates are growing. I'm not affecting anything. The only thing I've really affected as far as the amount of money coming in is the reactivation rate. Okay. And I just said a reassessment later.
Thank you.
Councilperson Markey, you're recognized on the amendment.
Yes, on the amendment, I kind of wanted to, if it's allowed, get Mr. Reagan's opinion on this, because I don't know how this changes numbers with what the study that they've already done. Like, if we're reassessing a year down the line, how much is that going to cost? How long does that take? Because then obviously, at the rate that we're going, I don't want to come back and then they're like doubling the rates quoted already kind of thing, because, you know, inflation's gone up, and I don't know how these numbers change pretty much. And I would like to get his opinion on the amendment.
Okay, without objection, Mr. Riggins, if you wouldn't mind, come forward, and then, if you will, Councilperson Markey, ask your question again, so he can answer it.
Yeah, so I don't know if you got a chance to see, but the first one cancels keeps the reactivation rate at the current rate, no increase. But the second one pretty much does the increase for the first cycle, and then that's when the proposal is that we will reassess. So how costly is it to reassess? Can you do the projects with the first year at least till we get a reassessment? Are you going to be losing a lot from the reactivation? I'm sorry, it's a lot of questions.
Oh, that's okay. Of course, I do not agree, respectfully, do not agree with the amendment, or that would be what I would be proposing. I will tell you, no utility that I know of assesses rates on a yearly basis. I've never heard of it, never seen it, because I don't know any utility who employs a rate expert. So you have to go through the RFP process, which we know the law, the interpretation of the law has changed on as well, since we first started this, which is going to throw a wrench in things, as well as it takes months, and average, I'll say it's under 50,000 to do a rate study. I'll say that. But again, no one does that. As far as the service fees, I would have a question on that. It says reactivation fees. So the service fees that are mentioned above that in your proposal, do they double? There's two sections. There's two. Okay. So I'm sorry. No, I need to let you answer the question. I apologize.
Okay, Councilperson Little, you can answer the question, and we're coming back to Mr. Riggins, because Councilperson Markey has the floor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And respectfully, I thank you. I enjoy the banter back and forth. We're adults. It's enjoyable. Yes, the rates will stay the same for the new service.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Riggins.
My only concern with that is I do not know that our software knows the difference. We call out the difference in the code for customers, so they know. I do not know that our software knows the difference between a service fee and a reactivation fee. That's why it's always been the same. I say I don't know that it will, but I don't know that it won't either. That's something I would have to look at. I would be concerned that if it will not, then this is not a viable option. That's my concern with that. And also, the service fees are also part of the overall rate study. So I would assume, and I could ask Jackson Thornton this tomorrow, that any effect on the service fees will also affect the projected rates, meaning if I can't gain revenue here, I'm going to have to increase rates over here to make up the revenue. I believe that would be the case.
Councilperson Marquis, you have the floor.
Thank you. That was my main concern. Because obviously there was a study done, they did their math and came up with these numbers, and I just don't want to be changing things just without further study of how it's going to change. And so that's why I wanted to know if at least if we do the first year, it's on track, but then I worry that if they redo the study, then because of inflation and other factors, that the rates may come back higher. So I'm not sure about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one question for a previous speaker, if that's permitted. To my colleague who spoke about the audit information about gas and water, was that the entire gas and water department budget, or is that the gas department alone?
That was the gas department alone.
Okay. All right. So here's what I have learned through my extensive research of this week and answering quite a few emails. I've heard there's a lot of misinformation out there about how much this rate increases, and clearly there are even people in this council who are confused. The rate increase is 4 steps starting in 2024. It's between 5 and 7% based on the category for an overall increase of between 25 and 30% over 4.5 years. I would like to point out that even if you took the 2027 rate and applied it today and assumed that there was no inflation between now and 2027, that new rate is 80% when you account for inflation. That new rate has 80% of the spending power as it did when it was set in 2008. It seems like a lot, and I see people saying, you know, these increases are outpacing inflation. And yes, an annual increase may appear that it is outpacing inflation, but not when you consider that you have to factor 15 years of inflation into this. We already know that the gas department is what the state considers financially distressed. Okay, this is what the rate study has told us. I encourage all of you to go to the TBOR website and look at what happens when a utility department is financially distressed. When it meets that the conditions set forth on that website, the first thing that TBOR does is they require a rate study. Through Mr. Riggins' initiative, we already have the rate study. We already know what the rate study says. And the rate study says that our rates need to be much higher than not only they are now, but that they are recommended, or that they are, that we're considering in this ordinance. If this goes to TBOR and they impose these rates on us, it is going to be a much worse, if you want to talk about doing what's right for the people of Clarksville, it will be much worse for the people of Clarksville if we are forced to adopt the rates that the rate study has already told us we should be charging. I applaud Mr. Riggins' efforts. It would be very easy. Maybe this shows just how poor of a politician I am. It would be very easy to vote no on this and then throw my hands up in the air when TBOR imposes rates on us and shake my fist at the unelected, political appointees. But we can avoid this. We can avoid having our future dictated to us by, like I said, political appointees in Nashville. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for clarity and to make sure I understand legislative intent, and then we'll get to the rest of the list. You only are asking to strike through the rate schedules. You're not asking to strike everything past that first rate schedule. Okay. The answer is yes, right? Is that what I heard?
Although I do keep on getting moved to the back of the queue every time.
I'm coming to you next. I'm coming to you next. Well, no, he's been engaged, so anyway. All right. Councilperson Little, I'm coming to you since you've been bumped a couple of times. You're recognized, then Councilperson Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. For this, my intentions were knowing that things are going to have to increase. That's life. Things are going to go up. I was trying to find a happy medium to be able to let the community know, our constituents who we represent, who we have their best interest of, those who are also disproportionately affected by the things that we decide. Hey, I understand. We hear you. Here's what we can give you, but we have to do this for the infrastructure. So it's not saying that we understand, like us as a community, we understand, even the council, we understand increases are going to happen. But we need to do it in a way to where our ratepayers are still going to be able to live their life, enjoy their life. Clarksville keeps growing. We got more constructions coming in, stuff like that. I even took that into consideration with the activation fees. I'm like, okay, I don't want to slow down the activation fees with the amount of building we're doing. But the people who have already lived here and called home, the people who are struggling every day to make their payments, and now we're increasing their rates, and we're going to say you can't pay this increased rate and pay an increased reactivation rate. What's wrong with looking out for the little guy? The only thing I want to say is I'll make an amendment to strike through number 2 and keep the rate schedule the same. I motion that.
I'm sorry, what was the motion?
Sorry. Motion to strike through number 2 on the amendment, the rate schedule.
Okay, the amendment to your amendment,
Yes.
is that what you're saying? Is to eliminate item number 2 on your amendment.
Yes.
So we're only dealing with the reactivation rate.
Yes.
Okay, you've heard the motion. I heard a second. Any discussion about the amendment to the amendment? I've got a list. I'm just going to call your name. If you want to talk to the amendment, let me know. Councilperson Smith, the amendment to the amendment. Okay, Councilperson Holland, the amendment to the amendment. Councilperson Allen, the amendment to the amendment. All right. We're on the amendment to the amendment, and that amendment is to eliminate or strike through item 2 on the little amendment. All right, we're voting on the amendment to the amendment. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
9 yes, 2 no, 1 abstain.
Okay, the amendment to the amendment passes, and now the amendment is simply to keep the reactivation rate at the current rate with no rate increase. So we're back on the amendment as amended. Councilperson Smith, on the amendment as amended? This is oh, okay, the original ordinance. The original ordinance. Okay. Councilperson Holloman on the amended amendment. Okay. Councilperson Allen on the amended amendment. Councilperson Streetman on the amended amendment. You are recognized on the amendment as amended.
Thank you. Mayor, I know he's been getting up and down and getting his exercise tonight, but I do have a question for Mr. Riggins in regard to this, if you don't mind.
Okay. Without objection, Mr. Riggins, come on forward again, and Councilperson Streetman, state your question.
Thank you. Mr. Riggins, can you just give us a little bit more clarification in regard to the service reactivation fees, the difference on that, and then I have another question to follow up behind that.
Okay. I may need clarification myself, just to be honest. And here's why. So I believe I know what the intent is. The service fee, I'm assuming the assumption was that's for all new customers.
The statement 100%.
And then, but what I want to be clear on, the reactivation is there's multiple options on this. The reactivation, the way I would understand that, only when someone has their bill, their service turned off for non-payment. And then on that reactivation, it would stay the same as it is now, which would mean for me, not only new customers, but anyone who chooses to have their service turned off during the summertime, they would pay that increased amount as well in the fall or winter time when they went to turn it back. Because that's not reactivation. That's a new fee after it's been 6 months. That would be my question. So
His amendment, the language of his amendment is to keep reactivation rate at current rate with no increase.
I believe I would need to define the difference between that service fee and a reactivation fee further in the code. And I could do that before next month at second reading.
I will call on the sponsor of the amendment to answer or provide some clarity for us.
I'll provide clarity. I can't give a good answer without the lawyers, our attorneys' representation for it. But like I originally stated, the intent of this, and when I brought it forward, was I wanted to see if we can get a chart or a spreadsheet showing what the disconnects were for non-payment, late payment. And then I even stated that I wouldn't mind having this sent back to the financial committee for further evaluation, but I just wanted to see who are we affecting the most. Are we affecting those who just call in and cancel it? Are we affecting the most people who say, I can't afford this? So that's what the basis of it is. And I understand you had mentioned earlier that you're not sure if, and I'm just quoting what you said, you're not sure if it charges differently. So I don't feel like we can really vote on this for both rates. We don't know if the system charges reactivation and I feel like there might be some problems there. There's a reactivation rate and a first-time connection rate, and the system doesn't differentiate, but you have it on a bill saying that these two things are different, but the system says they're the same. I feel like there might be something that could cause issues, especially if we don't know for sure.
On the bill, I believe it's listed as the same.
Okay.
It's in the code where it differentiates the two, but I believe it may be that the reason it's been the same rate is just because our software currently does not split in two. I'm not saying that it can't. That's just what I will have to check into.
Okay.
And I can get you that answer.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. Should the rates not increase, who covers because you were very clear with us last week in regard to that it costs more for your department to be able to reactivate the service. That's not there. Who pays for that?
All the ratepayers. And again, I would need further clarification, and I'm happy to provide what I think that should be. But between someone being shut off for non-payment, somebody planning to be shut off to be turned on in the future, I think that's a big difference in the gas division.
But it's all ratepayers that cover it. So even
Yes, anything that's not captured through individual response is covered by all ratepayers. Yes, ma'am.
so anybody that's already on a fixed income type of thing, they're covering that even if theirs hasn't been turned off. That would
be correct.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to get back to the list here. Councilperson Smith for Mr. Riggins on the amendment. Okay, Councilperson Holloman.
Mr. Riggins.
Okay.
Sorry. So the reactivation rate, I totally get it. On why we need to help the people impoverished. I mean, I probably could classify as one of them actually. But in order to prevent that, Community Action Agency has a program to help you pay your utility bills. Is that correct?
Are you speaking of Project Help?
Project Help, yes.
Yes, that is correct.
Could you talk about that?
Yes, sir. We Gas and Water and CDE, I know at least those two. There may be others that I'm not aware of. We both partner with Project Help, and what that does is that allows customers who are able and want to, they pay more on their bill that goes to the Community Action Agency that can be divvied out to people in unfortunate circumstances. And from what I've researched on that, other programs that the Community Action Agency has where someone's income may put them just above that threshold to where they wouldn't qualify for the other programs.
Yeah.
Project Help is what fills in the gap on those, because from what I read, that is not a factor in that.
Okay. Just, thank you.
And we do have active customers in that.
Okay. Councilperson Red, I think we're down to you, if I'm not mistaken, on. Okay, the question's been called on the amendment. Okay, do I hear a second? Second?
The question?
Okay, properly seconded, non-debatable, takes 2/3, which is 8 of us. I was told never to sing or do math in public, so. All right, so we are voting to cease discussion on the amendment as amended by voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it. We are ceasing discussion on the amendment. We are now voting on the amendment as amended. Madam Clerk, whenever you get us on the board, we'll vote on the amendment as amended. Every member, please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
5 yes, 7 no, 0 abstain.
The amendment fails. We're back on the motion as originally presented, and I have a list. Councilperson Smith, you're recognized on the main motion, the main ordinance. Okay, we've got a question for Mr. Riggins on the amendment as presented.
I want to make a statement. I probably don't have a question, but we'll see. Someone said that they have confidence in you, and I want you to know that we all have confidence in you and believe in you, or else you wouldn't have been hired by the city. My concern is this: trying to find other ways for this increase in this gas. You know, I know it'll start from 2024 to 2025, and you said it could go up to $18 increase. That's the max, is what I think I heard you say. I heard someone say that there was 85% cash. Why are we holding 85% of the cash in your budget? Cash in your budget. What are we doing with that? What are you doing with that? Can you answer that for me, please?
Is that a question for Mr. Riggins?
Yes.
All right, without objection, Mr. Riggins.
Yes, I'm happy to answer that. As you can imagine, with our bond covenants and ratings, and again, gas, I know you've heard me say before, we have very little debt there. I think it's around $3 million there. What that cash will do, if you notice in our budgets that we present every month at the committee meeting, where in water right now, we have that same, roughly that same amount of cash. And on a month's basis with this capital project, we're making millions of dollars worth of payments a month. We need that cash to bridge that gap because it dips severely during one month and goes up the next. The cash payments sometimes go out faster than the revenue comes in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That cash will allow us to fluctuate and hold steady with that. What that cash also does is, because of that cash, is why we're able to maintain a AA rating, even though we're building a $200 million water plant. We just issued bonds on $40 million, to which I may add, we received a $5 million premium. Very proud to say that, at 3.5% interest. All of that is because of that cash. Our cash levels, we keep those at a AAA rating because our debt, and we would have a AAA rating if it wasn't for the debt that we have. But if it wasn't for that cash, we would be well below AA rating. And again, all the factors go into, there's many factors, as Ms. Martin will tell you and the mayor will tell you, that go into bond ratings. We sit through hours of conversations with those people from ratings, from Fitch and Moody's, and it's all those factors in the cash, the growth, the projected capital projects. Also, one big thing I'm at is the relationship right here. I was able to say, and I'm just telling you what it is. I was able to say that we've had great success when we find ourselves needing to raise rates. We've had great success with this council in doing so. And my fear is, if we don't do this the next time, I will not be able to make that comment, and that will affect our buying. We will have to borrow money again in this gas. At some point, I believe, if it's possible down the road, we may have to borrow again, and that would be my main concern.
And Mr. Riggins,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you for your answer.
You're very
But you remember when you stood before us some time ago to raise the water and sewage, do you remember saying I won't come back for no more, when you was trying to build this plan, you said I won't come back for no more increases. Do you remember that?
What I remember saying was I would not be back unless I had to.
I don't remember that, but I know.
I'll go
don't
back and
remember,
look.
But, you know, I'm just saying, you said you would not come back for no more increases from the gas and water department. And I don't understand why we didn't save money or put back money for time as this for old pipes. We know that things are going to get old. We know that we need to renew stuff. We need to restore things. Why was there not any money or funds put back for this time like this?
I would argue we did put money back, but you can't overcome inflation. If one statement is I've got 85% in cash, I would argue I did put money back. It's just not enough to fund at that rate. If I have
let Mr. Riggins answer the question.
If I have $60 million worth of projects, I do not have enough cash to fund those projects. And without those projects, I'm saying at some point it would run out anyway. I don't know when, it may be years, but with those projects, I can't do it.
So is this your only savings account, this 85% to keep the rating up? Is that the only funds you have available?
For gas, yes. Yes, everything is on its own. For funding day-to-day capital projects, water is on water, sewer is on sewer, gas is on gas. The only time it's considered as a whole is when you go to issue bonds for debt. They look at the entire enterprise for that and the health of your systems. And this cash is how we've been so successful. That is one of the main factors of how we've been so successful in the bond market. They love us.
I understand that, and I hear you, but my concern is this. We put all the burdens back on the citizens. And I just don't think that every time we need some money, that we need to go back to the citizens and beg them and scrape them of everything they have to try to pay a bill. It's just not right. I just don't think it's right at all. And I mean, I know you do a good job, but look, I think we need to start saving money for times like these. I know you said you had the 85,000, but you said you're holding that to keep your credit up, to get this rating. But that's not helping the constituents. And I just think that the gas and water department, it's just draining finances from poor mothers and children. And I mean, I have to say what I have to say, Mr. Regan. It's not against you. It's just how it is. And it's what we're dealing with right now. And so, I mean, I cannot vote to do this. I don't know. I just think, I know you're an enterprise entity. That means you get your own money, based up on the water bills we pay, the high sewage we pay. And so we need to think about, other ways to try to find money to not always come back on the ratepayers or the citizens to find a way to pay for this or to pay for that. We're putting burdens on these people. And I mean, I don't know what else to say. But I'm telling you what I see, and what I'm just telling the truth. I don't think it's fair. I just think it's wrong, and that's my points.
Mr. Riggins.
Thank you.
Yes. I would say I believe it's a misunderstanding. Being an enterprise fund, rates is the only way. What's in this code is the only way I have to collect money.
I mean, you're getting paid rates, but you don't have to go up every time.
I'm saying I do.
It's not like you're not getting paid. You're making money.
Well, here's
let him finish.
My comment on that is this. If at any time I do a rate study, part of my staff and my expertise is knowing when I'm not an expert in something. I'm not an expert in rates, so I hired one.
How much we pay for that?
So I would
How
propose,
much
as
did
I
you-
said, it's less than $50,000, but it's enough. They're professionals. This is what they do for a living, day in, day out. And I would offer up,
Let's let him finish. Let him finish, please.
If you don't agree, if someone doesn't agree with the rate study, then I would say, what's the alternative?
I don't know. That's what we're asking you. They say you're the expert. I'm asking you. What is the
And I've
alternative?
proposed to you what my proposal is. As the expert, that's what I'm saying it is.
I disagree with
Without
it.
that, there's
I
no other
disagree
option.
with this.
And I just want to clarify one more thing, if I may. I'm very careful what I say in front of this council, to the point I write most of it down, as you well know, when I come up here. I've never said I would not come in front of this council and ask for more money. I clarified that when we did the fees for the capacity reservation fees in our committee. I did not say that. I said I would never come back unless I had to. And that's the truth.
I mean,
I do not want to be standing
Let
there.
him, Councilperson Smith, please let him finish.
But Mayor, I did.
I know you got to let him finish. We've listened to you. Let him finish, please.
I'm finished.
Okay. Councilperson Smith.
You through?
Yes, ma'am.
He's through.
You sure, Mayor? He's through.
He's through with your responding to your statement.
All I want to say is no disrespect to you, my brother. You're a Christian. I love you. My thing is this: as I said, I just don't agree with this rate pay increase. I just think we're just. I get so many complaints, and who do I turn to? I turn to you for answers because I don't know the answers. And I'm hoping that we could find money elsewhere. We raised the sewage. We got complaints on that. We got complaints on the water increase. I mean, I don't know what else to do. And I know you say it's got to go up, but it doesn't have to go up. We choose to allow this to go up because we need the money. We don't have no other way to get it. And I think it's put a burden on the people. And I always speak up for the people. And I'm sorry. Thank you.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
Okay, so I want to talk about the T4 because a previous council member challenged us to go to the website. Well, I did more than that. I went to the website. I reached out to them. I spoke with them. I asked them about all these questions that came up in the previous meeting. First of all, we are nowhere close to being financially distressed. Per the TCS code, we are not there. We're not even close to being there. Okay? I want to clear that up because I will not be manipulated by saying that these big bag people are going to come down and get us because that is not true. It is a whole entire process. And if we were even close, we would know because it doesn't just happen like that. You need 2 years of deficit, which we haven't had. If we go back to our finances, we have not had that. We're not even close to that. In fact, we're expected to have a surplus in gas this year. Okay? That's the first thing. The second thing that I want to say is we are the governing body of Clarksville, Tennessee. We can sit up here and we can say, Mr. Biggins, and I have the utmost respect for him. He is doing his job, and his job is to make gas and water the most successful that it can be. However, as the governing body of Clarksville, Tennessee, we do not have to do this. We do not need to do this right now because we are not in financial distress at all. The numbers in our budget show that we are not in financial distress. There are 3 things that trigger financial distress. The very first one is not having a credit rating. We've sat here and we've heard that we would have a AAA credit rating if it wasn't for our debt over in water. See, it's funny how when it comes down to it and we're talking about our credit rating, all of a sudden it's all together. But when we go back and we just look at gas, which is what we want us to do right now, we're fine. But this is the rate we want to raise. Water has more debt than any of it. We just raised that. I understand that. But gas, we're not there yet. But our people are hurting. Our people are there. Our people can't afford to make ends meet. We talked about Project Help. Now, y'all know I'm a social worker, so I can find any resource. Project Help does have an income bracket, and it's $35,000 for one family, $48,000 for a family of two, and it's like $53,000 for a family of three. Okay? They do have an income limit. We would rather raise rates and put a whole bunch of people in financial distress than wait. I'm not saying we never do this, but right now it's not the time. People are hurting. Now we can all sit here and we can say, "Oh well, I'll be fine," but that's not what your constituents are saying. And I'm asking you guys tonight to use your heart because that's all I do when I'm up here. I'm asking you to use your heart. And right now, we do not have to do this because we are not where we are even close to going to this T-board. Period. And and the thing about it is we can. I'm going to motion to postpone this because I want each and every one of you to call them and talk to them. And when I talked to Mr. Riggins, he confirmed we're not close. Because I asked him straight up. He knew when I came in here today that I wasn't voting for this. Because where every council member in here has a choice, I have a choice to understand and love people. And right now, not that we won't ever raise it, but right now is truly not the time. And if you can sit here and you can say that you think it's the time to do it, y'all need to really watch who you voting for. Because I'm telling you, we don't have to do this. And I'm talking to the constituents now. We do not have to do this. And if your council person says we do, they are completely wrong. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Thank you. I would like to, so we talked about projects in the future. I voted for the water increase because there was a definitive project and an estimate of what we're voting for and why we needed the money. Right now, we don't have that. We have a future that we're going to need. We have a pipeline, but we don't have a date. We don't have a cost. We don't have a specific project that we need to increase the rates on. So I think that, and we are very flush with cash, as I said. As I indicated, last year, we increased our net position in just gas by 3.8. That's according to the audit. I understand that we may need to increase for the projects, but I don't want to give an umbrella amount without knowing where the money's going and why. I don't think that I can go back to my constituents and say, I voted for gas because we're going to replace this pipeline that's old, and this is how much it's going to cost, and this is why we're raising your rates. I need those numbers and that information before I'm willing to say yes. Again, I made the hard vote for the water, and when I have that definitive information, I would support an increase if needed. But just on the in a few years we're going to have to do something. I don't have the confidence, especially based on our current financials, that we are in a good place.
Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd like to call for the question.
Question's been called for. Do I hear a second? Second. Question been called for and properly seconded to cease discussion on the ordinance as presented. Requires 2/3, which is 8 of us, to cease discussion. As soon as the clerk gets it on the board, we will vote on ceasing discussion on the question, which is ordinance 39. Okay, we're voting to cease discussion. It takes 8 votes to get there.
6.
All right. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
6 yes, 6 no, 0 abstain.
Ceasing discussion fails. We're back on the list. Councilperson Streetman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. A lot of different things to address here. I know it's been stated up here that we should vote with our hearts. Unfortunately, That's not something that we have the ability to do. We have been elected to serve this city, and we've got to vote with our heads. We've got to take the information that is given to us, and it's necessary for us to be fiscally responsible when we make the decisions for this city, and that's for every department to include gas and water. And correct, we are not in financial distress right now, and that is a wonderful thing, and I attribute that to Mr. Riggins himself for ensuring that we're not in financial distress. But I don't understand why we would want to wait till we were in that situation in order to decide that was when we needed to do something. Or worse yet, we get into that situation, then we get the decision taken out of our hands, and the state's board's going to come in here and do that. And I think a previous council member for Ward 1 even talked about the fact that it's likely not going to be what he's brought before us. It's going to be a higher charge that's brought to us that the Tennessee State Board is going to choose to do. Mr. Riggins also talked about the fact we're not talking about just one board. There's also there's another board, and they'll forgive me right now. I cannot think of the acronyms for it. But if we don't keep up with our infrastructure that we're required to do to be able to serve our constituents and the ratepayers as a whole, if we're not doing what we're supposed to do to ensure that that's taken care of, then we've got another regulatory board that's going to come in here. And as he stated, they're going to charge us fines. We're still going to have to do the projects, except they're going to be delayed. And we've already talked about there is inflation. If it costs a project that costs a certain number now, it's going to cost more 2 or 3 years down the road. Then you're adding to the fact that we're still going to have the state board come in here and tell us that we've now put ourselves in a bad situation. And again, they're going to come in and regulate how things need to go. Either way it happens, it's going to have to be done. To say this isn't the time, there's people out there hurting, I understand that. And I feel for everybody that is in, I'm sorry, if I could just speak for a moment. And I'll
Come
let
on,
you
let's
speak when it's
keep
your
our
turn.
editorial comments to ourselves, folks, please. It's late, and I know we're emotional. So, Councilperson Streetman, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. I understand that there are people in a tough situation, but whether it's this year, whether it's next year, whether it's the year after that, there's always going to be somebody that's in financial situations to where they're going to have trouble. And that's the opportunity where we've got some great nonprofit organizations in this community that are here to help people in that. And I like to try and support them through both my time and my treasure, as the director of United Way always likes to say. But we have to make the right decision for our department, for our city. And as the Ward 1 member said, the easy thing would be to vote no and say, I'm not going to do this, and then pass the buck down to either future council members or the Tennessee board to have to come in and do it. But the right thing to do is to make the decision that needs to be done to allow our department to be able to function as they need in regard to these capital projects. And while we're not in financial distress, there is no way for these capital projects, all of them, to be done. It was asked for a list. He's already talked about one of the pipelines would be the 41A pipeline, and I believe that's the one that's 70 years old that's going to have to be replaced. That project 2 years ago was estimated to cost over $35 million. He would have no choice but to issue debt for that. Now, when you're talking about issuing debt, if we lose the bond rating that we have, as he just said, he got a 3.5% interest rate. I know in this day and age, that is an excellent interest rate to be able to get, because interest rates have been increasing over the years, as with everything else. When you have a lower bond rating, it's no different than the individual that has a lower credit score. If you've got a lower credit score, you're paying a higher interest rate. That in turn is going to have to be paid for again by the ratepayers, because that's all he has to pay for anything. It's the ratepayers that are going to have to pay this. There's no finding any other money to make it happen. We can't just not do projects because we don't want to have to make this decision. And it's not a fun decision. He didn't want to come to us and ask us for this. He needed it to be able to do these projects. None of us want to do this. None of us want to pay more for the services, but if it's necessary, it's the unfortunate evil that we have to do. I'm asking that you support this. I'm asking that you support the director of our department, who has come forward to us and told us what he needs and why he needs it. And let's please move forward in this. Thank you.
Councilperson Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So inflation is going to continue to go up. You know, just look at international politics, look at the national things that are happening. Prices are going to keep going up. We are headed towards a rough time. Like, not just the city, like the country as a whole. Like we've got to get on top of this. For me personally, I mean, I know exactly what it's like to struggle to pay your bills. You know, I'm a single income household. I've taken up part-time jobs just to serve up here. But we have to have the strength and the foresight of the council to know that we have to maintain our infrastructure with gas, with all utilities. Let me tell you a quick story. Memphis Gas, Electric and Water. A few years back, they had some problems. They needed to raise rates, but it went before their council, and no one wanted to do that because they wanted to get reelected. And so then they kicked the rock down the road. A few years later, oh no, like our infrastructure's starting to getting a little weak here. We can't afford to maintain everything. We can't cut these trees for the electric. Our pipes are having some really bad times. Let's kick the rock down the road again. And so now, I can't speak for all their divisions, but I do know electrical. Right now, I mean, they have a disaster. The trees are overgrown because they can't maintain them because they refused to raise rates at a time that was crucial for their department. Let's not be like that. Let's vote this in, and let's get this settled. But, thank you.
Councilperson Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the previous speakers talked about not having a time and place for the capital projects. Could we get Mr. Riggins to come up and clarify the capital projects when and exactly how much they're going to cost?
Sure, without objection, Mr. Riggins. And if you don't mind, ask your question again, so we'll have it on the record.
Thank you. Mr. Riggins, can you tell us about the capital projects, the timeline, and any other important information that would make this important to raise these rates?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
During the budget process, I know at least our committee, I can't say with certainty that it went to the full council. I know the dollar amount did, but as far as in our gas and water committee, when we presented the budget, there is a breakdown for this fiscal year, current fiscal year, that was proposed at that point, and the next 4 that had for gas, water, and sewer, a long list of projected projects to the tune of $20.7 million. That's where I got the $20.7 million amount last week when I spoke about that. Those are broken down in that. The only project outside of that I mentioned that is not on that list because it only goes out for 5 years, and we know we're just beyond that, is the pipeline running along 41A that we know. And again, I know that price because we proposed doing a similar project in Kentucky toward that way, which I may add was mostly farmland, which along 41A is not where I have to run it. Not the same. It's not a cross-country line. It's along a highway, and I have to obtain hundreds of easements to get it there. That project in Kentucky was at least $35 million 2 years ago. So I have no reason to believe that this project will be any cheaper than that. And I believe it will be much more, especially even if you just count the easements alone. There's no telling what that could cause. Hundreds of projects, condemnation cases, I would imagine, in multiple counties, I might add. And again, just material prices, things like that. I can tell you that same project now has double the Kentucky line that was talked about going to a different supplier that's just twice as long. We are well beyond, I would say, 75 million there for 40 miles of pipe. So if you add all that up to the 20.7 that was presented, that's why I stated the number at 60 million plus.
Thank you. That's my head.
Okay, thank you. Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Anytime you have a government monopoly, the only governor there is to any rate and fee increases is the legislative body. And that is what we are. We are the ones that determine. If you're Amazon, you're going to be in competition with Walmart and other online stores, and the rates will finally come down. And many of the other online markets you have today. That's what drives prices down is competition. Monopoly is not competition. this is the only thing that has any governor to any type of tax or fee increases that the citizens will have to pay. And to me, they entrust us as part-time legislative bodies, and I believe our forefathers set this up this way to be the overseers of the full-time employees. Now, I can't blame any department head that comes up and they lobby for all the money they can get. I know from experience from January 1st, 1997, every department head since I've been here stood right there, and they've said everything in the world, and they've lobbied as good as they can. And there have been some eloquent speakers that stood there, much better than I. But I just want to remind you, whether it be someone mentioned that the Tennessee State Board is going to swoop in like an eagle out of the sky and grab us or something and carry away our firstborn if we die. And this is all good stuff. I'm not blaming anyone. I don't blame any department that stands there. And that is what they're supposed to do. But I just want to remind you, I'm not going to tell you how to vote. I'm not even going to tell you how I'm going to vote. But I am not hired from a full-time person within the city. I'm not a city employee. Why they keep sending me studies and courses to take, I don't know. What I got a course to take on about computer safety and all that stuff. It says all the employees have to take this. I'm not an employee, but I just want to announce that as well. But I've spoken now. I can't call for the question under the rules, but I'll just hope one of y'all do. Thanks.
Councilperson Allen, you recognize.
Okay, last chomp at the apple. So here we go again. We have people talking about there's nonprofits out there that can help. We all know all these nonprofits run out of money. People go to Community Action Agency and there is no money left. So while we're talking about giving our time and our talent, we need to understand that these agencies out there that are designed, they don't have enough money either. So you're still going to have parents sitting there with no lights, no water, whatever, with no gas to heat their house. All right. I want the constituents to hear their councilman speak right now. And I'm not telling you to change your vote for them or not. Believe what you want to believe. However, they are not hearing you. They are sitting here talking about we have to support our director. I don't work for the city. I work for you. So my constituents contacted me and they said, we can't afford this. We can't do this right now. Give us a few years. And that's what I'm sitting here fighting for. Okay? Once again, I'd like to reiterate, it would be different. I mean, a previous council member said we shouldn't want to get there. We are nowhere close to being there. Nowhere close. And I think that we're doing our constituents a disservice by sitting here pretending like we are and the big bad board is going to come and get us and take us over, because that's not going to happen no time soon. No time soon. The time is not right now, and one of the previous council members just asked about the capital projects, and they were still skimmed over. There still is not no definitive timeline to raise the rates on. There's no definitive timeline. It was still like, I'm going to estimate $60 million. Well, he's doing, just like the previous council member said, he is doing his job. And I love the way he is doing his job. But we do have a job to do. And it is to make sure that we are making the best decision. And in some people's mind, it is the best decision to raise the rates. But I'm letting our constituents know, since nobody else is going to tell them, we do not have to do this because financially we are not there. Thank you.
Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you. I want to say Mr. Riggins, I respect. I like you. It's great. Everybody here can have a turkey sandwich at my house afterwards if they want. Doesn't bother me. I'm getting it out of the way. I just want everybody to remember something. Um, I think, majority of the time when you want somebody to vote for you or just to even pick you, you say, I got your best interest at heart. And the infrastructure is the best interest, but also at the same time, you also got to think about those who you looked at and said, I got your best interest at heart. And their best interest in heart is what's in their bank account and how I'm going to make sure my kids are fed. I'm not saying, and like I said before, there's going to be increases. There's going to have to be things, changes need to be made. And even going forward with this, with a lot of things in what a previous speaker has said, whenever somebody presents something to get some money, they're going to present what need, like the best possible outcome, the most money I can get. It doesn't necessarily mean I need this exact amount. It's just stating this is nice if I can get this. Sometimes it is the exact amount, but majority of the time it is this is nice if I can get this. Our financial status is not in a place to where we are in shambles or anything like that. I don't even think we can be compared to Memphis because we got Mr. Riggins and they don't have him. So I just think that we should give an opportunity to, like a previous council person said, study this up some more. If we can get some numbers, something put into place, and I would still love to see a yearly count of who gets disconnected for non-payments. And for that, I would like to see this postponed to the next meeting.
Motion's been made to postpone ordinance 39 until the January 2024 regular session and properly seconded. We've got a list. We're speaking to the motion to postpone. Councilperson Reynolds on the motion to postpone. Councilperson Streetman on the motion to postpone.
Yes, sir.
You're recognized.
I would ask that we don't postpone this. As we said before, this is an ordinance. We've got 2 times that we're going to vote on this. If you're needing more information than the time we've already had and the full discussion that we've already had here, you've got an entire month to be able to garner that information from wherever you need to get it, whether it's Mr. Riggins, whether it's from the board, whether it's from wherever you need to go. You have that opportunity. There are things, I know this is time out before it's done. This doesn't go into effect until July 1. However, what needs to be done is we're approaching the beginning of the year here. It's going to take 2 readings, whether the first reading is tonight or whether the first reading is next month. We've got budgets that have to be planned. Part of that was done, this was done at this time. It was to give the ratepayers the time to get accustomed and be prepared for when it's going to hit in July, but it's also so that the department can get their budget planned and ready to present. There's a lot that goes on before it gets brought to us on the committee level in May. So I would ask that if you need more time, take the time you've got over the next month, but I ask that we move forward and get this first reading completed.
Councilperson McLaughlin on the motion to postpone.
Yes, I'm recalibrating my brain. Okay, whether we postpone or not, I do believe that there's some information that can be provided that could clarify some of the confusion amongst us, including myself. And also, we've been flooded with emails and calls of people that have had information that, as I checked and verified, was inaccurate. For example, people claiming they had more than 12 bills a year. I pulled mine and checked, and that was inaccurate. So there's a lot of inaccuracies, I think, swirling around the whole community. So whether we postpone or not, information that I've written down that people have requested is a detailed list of projects by cost and potential timeline, data on cutoffs, how many people it is, and how often it is. It may be beneficial also for the full council to see the audit report and the rate study. I did get that today. It did provide me information that it doesn't sound like everybody may have asked for a copy of that. And then also, what does the state comptroller require the gas and water department to keep in reserves? Is it different than what we as a city are required to have? And then also, I guess clarification on what the 85% cash reserves is going to be used for and when those payments would go out, how long we anticipate sitting on that. So that's towards if the motion to postpone does pass, that's information that I think would be beneficial for all of us to have. And if it doesn't pass, it would be beneficial to have before second reading. I'm sorry, it was very wordy. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Allen, on the motion to postpone? Yes. You're recognized.
I'd like to see this postponed also because there were some things that I asked Mr. Riggins for and I haven't received them yet. The information about the T-board, the thing about the residents versus the commercial that you said was coming down the pipe, all of that information. I asked for that and I haven't received it yet. So I would like to actually get that information anyway so that we can have more time to review it. As for it, we haven't changed the date that it goes into effect. If it's going into effect July 1, it's going into effect July 1. That's not going to change by us postponing it. It gives us some time to really think about it because this is a major decision. This is not something that we can look at one week and then the next week vote on it. This is a difficult decision. Thank you.
Councilperson Markey on the motion to postpone? Yes, sir. You're recognized.
So yeah, I would like to also see it postponed. There's a lot of information that was brought up tonight that obviously can't really just sit here and look it up and verify or clarify even some of the stuff that was said. I would like to have time to get with Mr. Riggins, maybe with our CFO, and contact some other people to clarify some things here. Because again, it is a major decision, and I would also add that betting on the fact that we may have a second reading, I wouldn't want to bet on that because that was said earlier, and that ordinance failed, and that we don't have a second reading for that. So I would rather it be postponed, have the time, and then move forward in a positive manner. Thank you.
Councilperson Red on the motion to postpone?
Thank you, man. If the motion to postpone would have been about 2 hours ago, I would have been for it. But now I've got this time invested in here. I'm saying if it takes another hour or two, let's go ahead and do it now. And I mean, look how much we've talked about this. And I'd like to hear from one of the previous speakers that said that she has a lot of information she'd like to bring out. I'm willing to wait and do this tonight, but that's just me.
Councilperson Smith on the motion to postpone? Yes. You're recognized.
I would agree with postponing this because, first of all, I would like Mr. Riggins to try to see if he can figure out another way to get money other than raising the rates on the constituents. Also, I heard someone say that inflation. Yes, inflation is caused by our behavior. When we go up on everything, that's what causes inflation. Inflation just don't come up without somebody making it happen. If we vote on this, we're causing inflation in the pay rates for the citizens. Inflation, yes, happening. Organizations, companies goes up on their material. We cause the inflation, but we don't have to cause inflation. If we can find another way to get this money that he needs, this, I guess, $60 million. And we also need to get some information on stuff that has been said here tonight. We need some evidence. We've talked about a lot tonight, and I think we need to postpone this until we get the information we need, also to see if we can pay another way. Thank you, Mayor.
Anybody else wish to be recognized on the motion to postpone? Seeing none, hearing none. Are you ready to vote on the motion to postpone until the January regular session? Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
7 yes, 5 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 39, postponement passes until January 2024. All right. Chairperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Resolution 23-2023-24, a resolution authorizing a utility infrastructure agreement between the City of Clarksville, Tennessee, and LG Chem America Advanced Materials, Inc. to define utility services demand, capacity reservation, construction, and all associated costs and/or fees. Both the Finance Committee and Gas and Water Committees voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 23. Any comment or question regarding it? Resolution 23? None, seeing none, are you ready to vote? Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 23 is adopted. Chairperson Street. Sorry.
Okay. That concludes my report.
All right, we're ready for Gas and Water Committee. Chairperson Holman, you're recognized.
All righty. So first up, let's see, we have ordinance 37, 2023-24, second reading, an ordinance amending Part 2, Code of Ordinances, Title 13, Utilities and Services, Chapter 3, Gas, Water, and Sewer Services, the City of Clarksville relative to credit and debit card transaction fees.
Is that a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion,
Second.
properly seconded. Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Okay, so my comment on this was that there were some misconceptions and several communications I received about the rate increase and also the credit card fees. And I just want to make it clear to the public that this gas and water department or any city department does not get reimbursed by the institution that charges the fees at the end of the year like a business would. So I just wanted everybody to be clear that the fees that are being assessed is break even for the department and not a money grab. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Smith, you pulled this from the consent agenda. I'll recognize you next.
Okay, Mayor, I pulled this, thinking that this was the one for the gas and water. I asked you, and I know you were busy, and so we just got mixed up on it. I mean, we've done this before. It's nothing unusual, but, we can go ahead and just cancel this, put it back.
Okay,
how
well,
we do it? We'll have
it's before us. We'll have to vote on it.
Okay, we'll vote to send it back to the
37.
consent agenda.
All righty. We're voting. All right, Councilperson Red, you're recognized on
I'd like to call for the question.
Second.
any objection to the question. Hearing none, we're now voting on ordinance 37. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
9 yes, 3 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 37 is adopted. Second reading. Chairperson Holloman, you're recognized.
All righty. We had a pretty good committee meeting. But other than that, for the most part, Clarksville Gas and Water, the main focus has been this fee readjustment. And so next month we'll have a full report for you, and hopefully some good and exciting announcements. That's all I've got. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Neighborhood and Community Services, in his absence, Chairperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. And this came from the chair himself. On November 27th, we had a CDBG briefing at the Burt Cobb Community Center for community members. It was a great presentation by the staff but the chair as well as community we've talked so much tonight, I'm stumbling through my words. The chair plus many community members attended. The next meeting for the committee will be on Monday, December 11th at 4:30 p.m. It'll be held at City Hall on the 4th floor.
Thank you very much. We're ready for Parks and Recreation Committee. Chairperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. The 2024 downtown market season application period has closed. Applications are being scored by the Market Advisory Committee, and acceptance emails are anticipated to go out on December 28th. The Wilma Rudolph Event Center at Liberty Park is getting a new LED message sign thanks to a sponsorship by CDE Lightband. The sign is expected to be installed this week and will display information on Liberty Park events. After conducting a community input survey, the special events team is hard at work planning next year's event season. In early January, they plan on sharing an abbreviated version of the survey results, as well as the lineup of exciting new events for 2024. Fort Defiance staff continues to provide quality educational opportunities to local schools. They recently hosted a 5th grade tour and lecture of the fort for 183 students, teachers, and chaperones from Hazelwood Elementary School. And finally, if you are interested in joining the Parks and Rec team as a ground and facilities maintenance specialist, please visit ClarksvilleParksRec.com.
Thank you very much for that report. Councilperson Little, you're recognized on that report.
What's the hiring age? Youngest?
Well, yeah, I think you meet it. But I don't think you're eligible because you're on the council.
Oh, okay. I was just, making sure.
Okay. It'd be 18 for most positions if you're driving a vehicle, but 15, 16 if you're not. Okay. Any other questions regarding this report? Seeing none, we're now ready for Public Safety Committee. Chairperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. We have ordinance 35, 23, 24, first reading that was postponed November the 2nd. It's an ordinance amending the official code Code Title 10, Offenses Miscellaneous, Chapter 3, Anti-Noise Regulations pertain to economic development and entertainment, and I'll make a motion for approval, and I know we have an amendment also that someone would like to, or one of the members would like to make. I'll yield to her.
Okay, motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 35. Councilperson Lovato, you have an amendment. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I will very quickly explain the amendment. We did strike through and clarify the name, changing from ballparks and concert venues to sports and entertainment complexes. And then we are adding language to limit the number of decibels that the complex can get to. I understood the reason for the exception, but I was not okay with just a blanket exception where they could go as loud as they wanted to. So Mr. Tyndall was very nice and helped me. He was the liaison between me and the owners. 80 decibels was agreeable between Mr. Tyndall, them, and I, and they did not feel like it would be a hindrance. That's all I have.
You've heard the motion. Do I hear a second? Second. Properly seconded. Any question about the amendment? Councilperson Allen on the amendment.
I just have a question. How did 80 decibels come to play? Did you guys look into what a baseball game would be normally?
So what they were measuring it not just on the baseball games, but what an average music concert would look like as well. And so from the street level, they wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be too loud for the nearby residents. And so at the street level, 80 decibels was something that was agreeable, that would not put a hindrance on the ball field or any concerts, but would also help the residents. I hope that answered your question.
Yep, thank you.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you. So the music and concerts can be played till 11 o'clock at night. Is that correct?
That's to the sponsor?
Yes.
Yes, I'm not proposing like any changes to the time frame. It was just for the
it says that other times may be established within the zoning code. At the conclusion of any event, all attendees shall vacate the complex by 12 p.m. So are they closing at 12 or are they going to still have the, it said, I don't understand. You got 12 p.m. that they all have to vacate. Then you got 11 p.m. that they should close. I mean.
So the way that I understood that part, that was already in the language. I'm not changing that part. That was in the original language. But from what I understand is that any, whether it's a ball game or a concert or any kind of music event, they have to be done by 11 and everyone off premises by midnight.
Oh, so the concert has to be done at 11 p.m.
Yes.
But everybody have to be off the premises by 12 p.m.
Yes, those are what
But it
the
said
words say.
attendees shall vacate the complex by 12 p.m. So that's still saying that they can still be there partying or having a concert. It's confusing.
No, I think it says vacate means you got to be gone.
I know what vacate means, Mayor. What I'm saying, it says at the conclusion of any event, all attendees, that's people attending the concert, the party people,
Right?
shall vacate the complex by 12 p.m.
The noise has to stop, but the
Like,
people
what,
got
at
to
12 p.m. or 11?
at 11. The
Okay.
noise has to stop at 11,
Okay.
and then people have an hour to file out of the venue.
Okay, but it doesn't say that. It says at the conclusion of any event. That means the end of it, at the end of it. So are we saying that it's gonna close at 11? It said between the hours of 11 p.m. to 7:30 a.m. I just want to make sure it's clear.
There's a typo.
There is something.
Hang on a
That's what I'm
second.
saying. Wait a minute, am I
We'll get
crazy?
to you. We'll get to you in a second. Councilperson Lovato, you want to add any more clarity to that?
No.
Okay. Councilperson Streetman, I'm sorry, Councilperson Smith, you still have the floor.
Okay, so I'm saying, it's saying here that, that entertainment events between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7:30 a.m. the following day, at such other times as may be established. I believe the wording is, something is wrong here.
Well, it says it shall not conduct games, concerts, or entertainment events between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7:30 a.m. The following day or any other such time may be established within the city zoning code. At the conclusion of any event, all attendees shall vacate the complex by 12 p.m. midnight. Noise levels at the public street level directly outside the sports and entertainment complex shall not exceed 80 decibels during events between the hours of 7:30 a.m. and 11 p.m.
Okay. I guess that's appropriate, I guess.
Okay. Anything else?
As long as the music's gonna stop at 11 p.m., I'm fine.
That's what it says.
That's what it's saying. Okay. Make sure.
Okay. Councilperson Marquis, you're recognized.
Yeah, I think the confusion is there's a slight typo because the 12 p.m. means noon.
Noon.
12, it should say 12 a.m.
Okay,
midnight.
that's
I think that's the confusion.
Thank you for that. Scrivener's error, we just scratched through the PM
Yeah.
and it's,
There you go.
no, okay, hang on.
That's all. I just wanted. I think that's what the confusion is.
Okay, please make a note on your copy that the PM after shall vacate the complex by 12 midnight. PM is a scratch through. We'll and I believe myself. All right. Anything else, Councilperson Marquis?
No, that was it.
Okay. Thank you. Councilperson Allen on the amendment?
Yeah, I just got one more question. How are we gonna know it's 80 decibels?
Well, we've got these little machines that measure it, and the police department's got them.
So they're just gonna be outside. Like, is this concert 80 decibels?
They-
If they get a complaint.
Complaint driven.
Okay. All right.
Okay, you're welcome. Anybody else have a question or comment?
No, you just need to correct the error.
Okay, just make sure you correct it on your,
I got it.
Mr. Attorney, we're good with that, right?
Got it.
Okay, so scratch out PM after 12 PM and just the word midnight. All right, any other questions regarding the amendment? Okay, let's vote on the amendment, shall we? Every member vote on the amendment, please. Thank you. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote. Please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Amendment passes. We're now on the ordinance as amended. Councilperson Redd, you're recognized.
I don't have anything to say about the amendment.
All right.
The motion, the main question.
Okay, we're on the
I'm ready to
question.
vote.
We're on the ordinance as amended. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 35 is adopted. First reading. Chairperson Redd, you recognize.
The fire department, the fire suppression division had a total cost of $1,460. 79% was from rescue and medical. We had 13 structural fires. Clarksville Fire and Rescue currently has 9 vacancies. Keep that in mind. We plan to start the next academy in February. Clarksville Fire and Rescue will have a brief in-service ceremony for its newest fire engine tomorrow at station number 7 on Tiny Town Road, and we expect to receive the next truck before Christmas. And the Clarksville Fire and Rescue facility is expected to be complete by May, with a tentative ribbon cutting on May the 4th. And details of this invitation will be sent out. And that event tomorrow at Station 7 is at 9 a.m. Building and Codes Construction Division had 2,426 total inspections. Code Enforcement Division had 164 new cases. The Abatement Division had 39 work orders. We had total revenue that was put in the kitty of $295,042.51. In the Police Department, we have 14 vacancies. Currently, we have 13 new officers that will graduate Thursday from the academy, and we recently hired a pre-certified officer from Cheatham County who's begun training process. We'll be hosting a ceremony December 18th at 9 o'clock a.m. At Freedom Point Building, Liberty Park, to recognize several promotions, advancement, life-saving awards, a Purple Heart awards of the employees, and an Employee of the Quarter award. And any council member is free to attend. That's Liberty Park there. And Public Safety would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any question or comment regarding this report? Seeing none, we're ready for the Transportation, Streets, and Garage Committee. Chairperson Smith, you recognize.
Okay, I'm gonna try to be real fast. Y'all better listen. Okay, the TSG reports are as follows. Ridership for transit for November totaled 47,643 riders. Fixed routes totaled 43,905 riders. Seniors fixed routes totaled 7,000. Paratransit riders was 3,000. No, yeah, paratransit riders was 3,738. CTS placed an order for 2 new buses and 6 new paratransit vans. The new buses should arrive in July 2024, and the vans should arrive in January of 2024. Who's funding these buses? Well, that's what I asked. The fundings for the buses will be obtained $800,000 from TDOT Improve Act Grant, $200,000 from the city, and $130,000 from FTA. Why we need new buses? I asked that question. FTA says a useful life on a bus is 10 years or 350,000 miles. We currently have 6 buses that have exceeded their useful life on mileage, and 2 of the 6 are over 13 years old. 2 buses are over 600,000 miles. 3 buses are over 400,000 miles, and 1 bus is close to the 400,000 miles mark. We also have 3 contingency bus used in emergency, or when we have too many buses in the shop. 3 are over 13 years old, and all 3 are at 460,000 miles each. Okay, that concludes that report. We will now move on to the street department. The total work orders for the street department for November is a total of 127. Pavement completed in November include Bel Air and Hickory Heights subdivision. Pavement planned in December includes Allen Road and River Heights subdivision. Transportation 2020 improvement contracts has been awarded for Taneytown Road and Allen Road, Ted Crozier Boulevard, and Dunlop Lane, Fire Station Road, and SR 76 Highway. That concludes the report. The next report is the city garage. We worked on this report to try to get some definite and specific information on what it was talking about. Let's see. The total number of mechanic work orders is 764 for the month of November. There was an AIM device added to one of the police cars, totaling $330. Outside body shop work, total $19,000. Let's see. We'll jump on down to the fuel. Fuel purchases made by City Garage for on-site fuel pumps. Unleaded gas total $99,794.51. Diesel cost was $29,166. Fuel cost for unleaded was $2.49 per gallon. The last delivery was November 29th. It was a decrease of 1.2% from $2.52. Fuel cost for diesel is $3.21 per gallon. The last delivery was November 16th, an increase of 1.3% from $3.17. This concludes my reports.
Okay, any comment or question regarding this committee report? Seeing none, we're ready for mayor and council member comments. Councilperson Allen, you've been jumping up and down. Comment. You're recognized.
So the first thing I would say is happy holidays, everyone. But I also would like to add this time of year is a very sad time of year for many, many people. Suicide rates go up. People are lonely. Watch what you're saying and doing to people. I know I've had 4 deaths in the last 2 months in my family, and it's been a very, very difficult last 4 months. To the fact that I told the mayor earlier this month, I don't think I can handle much more. So watch what you say and what you do to people. Love on them. Seasonal affective disorder is very, very real. And we need everybody to be here that was here this month to be here next month, if we can do it. Because my cousin passed away due to suicide a couple of weeks ago, and it was simply because they ran into an issue that could have been perfectly presentable. So just watch what you're saying to people and watch how you treat people. Thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin.
I just want to thank Mirrors Youth Council members, Leanne and Peyton, for their assistance in the Christmas parade. They made me feel young again. It was a good time. Thank you.
All right, I have three things I want to say. Back on ordinance 39 that we discussed for a couple of days here, Mr. Riggins asked that if you have any questions or need any information, please email that to him and he will distribute that to the entire council. And if you have constituents who have questions so that they get the most accurate information, please send those to him as well. And he'll be glad to either help you answer it or answer it himself. So that having been said, remember that today is the day that shall live in infamy. December 7th, 1941, our nation was attacked by the Japanese, Pearl Harbor Day. So let's remember our soldiers and their families during this holiday season, and really every day. And then finally, happy birthday to our daughter-in-law, Bonnie, and to former Austin P. President, Dr. Lisa White. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Without objection, we are done.